What's going on, guys? It's me, GeminiJets Fan 2016 here, and today we have massive unboxing number 15 for you guys. I'm super excited to get into today's massive unboxing. It's gonna be another long massive unboxing, so make sure you have some beverages and popcorn with you because there's gonna be a lot of models that are gonna be unboxing today's video. So without being said, let's just get started, shall we? So we got 3 boxes right here, 2 big ones, and one, I guess, small box in the middle, but these are all Black Friday orders that I got from last year, 2024. It's already 2025, but I have not unboxed these yet because of my Philippines trip I had during December, so I couldn't, do some pre-recordings in December, so I decided to, do some recordings after Christmas in this case. So, yeah, more mass unboxings, and of course, it's almost like a annual thing for me to order models on Black Friday, so... But this one is actually going to be different, since this is actually going to be separated into 2 mass unboxings. So this is mass unboxing 15, which is the Black Friday orders part 1. So this will be part 1 of my Black Friday orders. Part 2 will be coming up, which will be mass unboxing number 16. But we got mass unboxing 15 to dive into. So without being said, we're not going to waste further time. I know this video is going to be long, so if you guys already got your beverages, yeah, make sure you grab some popcorn and some kind of snack, because once again, it's gonna be an hour-long video depending on how fast I can do this, but highly likely because of the amount of models that are gonna be in this video, it's obviously gonna be an hour long. So, other than that, just super excited to get into today's mass unboxing. So without being said, let's get into our first box from this massive order. Alright everybody, welcome to mass unboxing number 15. We got our first box right here. This box comes from Panda Toys. Now, normally when I order from Panda Toys on Black Friday, I would usually get a rectangular cardboard box that extends all the way right here. But for this order, I ended up purchasing about 5 models if I were to take a guess. So one of those 5 models came into my doorstep, or the front of my door, like my house in this case. It came in this box. It's a large, almost like cubicle box almost. So something new that I never got to experience. Well, not really experience, but just something new for a change. And as you can see, I just labeled it as a 15 because these are the models that are going to be in mass unboxing number 15. So without being said, let's get started with the box. So let's open up the box like so. Okay, alrighty, and then we're gonna do this. And yeah, I am standing up, and the camera is currently set on 0.5 because this is a big box. I have, once again, 2 big boxes, and yeah, just 1 small size box. But gotta get the most out of it to give you guys a bird's eye view of the models itself. So as I cut the box like so, come on. Ooh, these are hard to get. There we go. Alright, so now we got that out. Let's take a look at... Yeah, that's a lot of packing paper right there, but there should be some models in there, so without being said, let me take them out. And we have our first model right here. Super excited to add this. This is for another airline, but right here, we have the JetBlue Airbus A321 in the balloons pattern livery. So just like the balloons livery in general. So really cool to add this, and yeah, I was kind of on the fence about this. I'll talk about this later once I get into the model itself. Our next model is another NG, and I'm super excited to add this. This aircraft has not started commercial service as of late, as of late, but I decided to get this anyway, and that is the United Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 10. Quite an oddball, honestly. Once again, this aircraft has not started commercial service. It's not FAA certified yet, but I decided to get it anyway because who knows what I'll use it for in the future. And to round it all off, we have a couple of GeminiJets right here. Let me try to grab 2. I got 2 cool retro models right here. We'll start off with the Delta Airlines McDonnell Douglas MD-90 in the Colors of Motion livery, Super excited to add this, my first MD-90 in my collection. But I also got this cool thing right here, which is the United Airlines Boeing 757-200 in the Saul Bass livery. Super excited to add another Saul Bass model in my collection. It's going to be another cool asset from my United Airlines fleet. And I think we have one final model. Yes, we have one final model, but before that, I do want to show you guys the code, the 5% coupon code from Panda Fox. The code is Delta Charlie Papa 6 Foxtrot 5, and this expires on March 6, 2025. So depending on when I upload this, video, it might be expired, or it has you have a couple of weeks before this expires. So make sure to use that just in case. And to round it all, oops, I think I may have accidentally touched my camera, but to round it all off, a brand new airline that's really critical for my international collection. Who knows what I might be using it for, but I've been wanting this airline for a very, very, very long time. And I'm finally glad that the day has finally come. Come on out. Oh my god, yes. Just to make sure that everything's all clear. Yes, and there she is. The Emirates Boeing 777-300ER. Oh man, I'm just super excited. My first Emirates model at long last. I've been wanting this airline for a long time. Man, Emirates, welcome to my collection. It's really cool to finally have an Emirates model in my collection. Let me just set these all up. Like so. And then we're gonna take care of all of these packing paper and put them inside the box. Man, yeah, that's about 5 models. Yeah, so 5 models, which I was able to like predict. And I got it correct, and there she is. Look at all those models right there. So these are all the models from my Panda Fox Toys order. Panda Fox had a really cool like Black Friday sale, as it extended all the way from Black Friday to like December 12th. So it was like a really cool deal. Like it was a really cool deal for Panda Fox, and I was able to partake in that. So here are all the models that I got from them for the first batch. I got a second batch that'll be coming up. So we got the United 737 MAX 10. JetBlue Airbus A321 balloons, the Saul Bass Livery 752, MD-90 for Delta Airlines in the Colors Motion livery, and the Emirates 777-300ER in the revised livery. Man, these are really cool pickups, honestly. Honestly, I think I want to get started from the top. I want to try starting off with that United Airlines 737 MAX 10 first, because that's a really cool model for my United Airlines collection. So with that being said, everybody, let's get started with our first model for Mass Unboxing 15. And let's kick off Mass Unboxing 15 with the NG Models 1/400 scale United Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 10. While this aircraft is not FAA certified yet, I'm just excited to have this model in my collection, a new aircraft type for my collection, and a new addition to my United Airlines collection. And honestly, who knows what I'll be using this in the future. Maybe I might use it for a fantasy airport, but we just never know when the 737 MAX 10 is going to be FAA certified. There's a couple of United Evo Blue liveries in the 737 MAX 10. There's also the Features SAF 737 MAX 10 as well in the Everett factory. Well, not really Everett factory, in Washington State. We've seen a couple of photos of these already, but still, I'm super excited to have this model in my collection, and I might, who knows, I might like use it for, you know? So you got the Boeing 737 MAX 10 tiles right there, you got the CGI image of the aircraft, you got the NG Models logo right there, 1/400 scale, collectible models, die-cast metal. No need to explain too much about the box art. NG does kill it with these box arts. I love on how they designed this box. You got the United Airlines logo right there, you got the aircraft registration, November 27753, and then you got the Boeing licensed product right there. And then here's the bottom side, here is the right side, here's the top side, and here's the left side. And then moving on to the back, it's just pretty much the same. You got the NG logo on the top left corner, warning hazards, there's social media pages, and the item number of this model is 90001. Am I saying that correctly? Let me go slowly. So the item number is 90001, which is NG Models' first 737 MAX 10, and pretty much like NG is the first model manufacturer to produce a 1/400 737 MAX 10 mold. So yeah, really cool. But other than that, super excited to get into this model. And honestly, like 737 MAX 10, that's like the longest 737 variant ever. Have not seen this aircraft. Well, I kind of seen it, but I only seen it in the house livery whenever I travel to Seattle. And there she is right there, but I never seen United Airlines like in the United Airlines colors. But still, it's a really cool asset. Man, this thing is really long, like literally longer than the 737 MAX 9. Look at this. Wow. Honestly, I'm really impressed right now. Let me check the wings. Okay, the wings are good. Horizontal stabilizers, those are also good. And the tail, and make sure we have some antennas. And look at this. Wow, I'm really impressed with this. NG did a phenomenal job on their 737 MAX 10 mold. And I think they have a couple of United planes as well, but I think they might try like go for a house livery soon. But who knows, I might also get that too. But other than that, I have this 737 MAX 10 in the United Airlines Evo Blue livery. And honestly, it should be a, who knows what, once again, it should be a pivotal asset depending on which aircraft flies to, maybe SFO, but we'll just never know. Once that aircraft gets FAA certified, then we'll see what route it took from their hubs across the country. But other than that, it's still a cool model right here. And here's the NG Models 1/400 scale United Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 10 in this stunning Evo Blue livery. Honestly, this is just a really cool looking airplane. It's almost like the stretch version of the 737 MAX 9, which basically it is. And once again, this is the longest 737 variant out there, like pretty much like in general. So it's really cool to have a 1/400 model out of this. So let's get started with a review of the model itself. So you got the cockpit windows right there, and then you got the nose shape. NG still, of course, does a pretty good job on the nose shapes of their 737s. Nose landing gear and nose landing gear door containing the ETOPS logo and the part of the aircraft ship number. Star Alliance logo right there, connecting people uniting the world towers right there. Ellen boarding door. You got the big Evo Blue United billboard towers right there. You got a bottom antenna right there, and then some stack ports right there. And I'm guessing, who knows if this aircraft can have Polaris cabins. So I'm assuming Polaris cabins could be somewhere right here. And then you got your premium economies and economies back there. There's your Leap 1B engine right there. NG still does they still did a good job on these Leap 1B engines. They're well accurate in size and shape. You got the main landing gear right there, and then your emergency exit doors right there. There's your bottom antennas as well. You got your top antenna on your Wi-Fi dome, and then at the very back, there's also the rear back antenna right there. There's your AT winglet, of course the advanced technology winglets, which are present on the 737 MAX. There's your aircraft's door plug, which back then, of course, this aircraft in particular, well, MAX 9 in particular mostly, this had a bit of a controversy, but not gonna explain too much about that, but yeah. But there's the door plug right there, or another emergency exit door in this case. You got some wing details right there. Not gonna explain too much about the details on the wings. You got your fairings, all your various printed details, and then a lot of great details on the slats and spoilers, and the flaps too. And then here's the back side of the plane. You got your L3 door right there. So here's that door right there. And then you got the aircraft registration, November 27753, and the US flag right there. And then coming close to the very end of the Evo Blue livery, moving on to the empennage right there. There's your APU, and then you got your tail skid right there. And then there's your horizontal stabilizers. Some good details on the horizontal stabilizers as well. And the United Airlines Evo Blue tail, which NG Models did a great job on the coloring of the Evo Blue livery and the printing of the tail itself. Moving on to the front section of the plane, as you can see, not gonna go into much about the front section. I'll probably go later, but I just want to point out the fan blade. So here are the fan blade details right there, which I think NG Models did a great job on. And then moving on to the R doors, like the starboard side. Of course, you got your R doors right there, R1, R2, and R3. And then you got your forward cargo bin, which is somewhere right there, or maybe it's right there. It's really close to the very front. And then you also got your aft cargo bin right there. Moving on to some different perspectives, so we'll start from the top. So here's the top view of the plane. Not much on details, but I still like the addition of the beacon light right there. Moving on to the bottom, this is just a pro right here. As you can see, most of NG's 737s never feature a stand hole, but their MAX 10 mold has a stand hole, which is right there, which honestly, that's a new step for NG Models in their 737s. Why can't they have this on most of their 737 NG and MAX molds for the MAX 8, MAX 9, or the 700, 800, or 900? NG, please do those. Pretty please. I would like to see these kinds of stand holes on your 737 800s and MAX 8s and MAX 9s and 900 ERs. But still, this is really cool right there to see. And then of course you got your various printed details at the bottom. Moving on to the front section of the aircraft, of course here's a much more better view of the front section. As you can see, ground flex configurations of the wings. And then moving on to the back, here's the back, oops. And here's the back side of the wing right there. I did not mean to hit my camera, but yeah, I was trying to maneuver. But other than that, this is a cool model from NG Models, and honestly, a very nice model. I might keep this for quite some time until the 737 MAX 10 begins commercial service with United Airlines. But still, really cool model right here. I mean, United Airlines might be swapping out their 737 MAX 10s and more A321neos, but who knows? I'm not really quite sure what's the future of the 737 MAX 10 fleet for United. But still, it's a cool model to have, and hopefully I can see one in Washington State if ever I go back there. Also, I do want to mention, here's my CRP. I forgot this, but yeah, here's the CRP. This is in the December 2023 format. So here it is once again. Now let's move on to the next model. The next model we'll be taking a look at is the NG Models 1/400 scale JetBlue Airbus A321 in the balloons pattern livery. Another nice addition to my JetBlue collection, and honestly it's been a while. I think, oh yeah, Mass Unboxing 14, well Mass Unboxing 13 I got a JetBlue model, but I think after my JetBlue purchase, which is the JetBlue A320 from Airlines International 2024, I kind of like put it on hold on when my next JetBlue model is, and it just so happens to be this one. And I was really on the fence because, like, should I get this model or not? Because I'd never seen this livery before, but I decided to get it anyway because who knows how many are going to be popping up within the next couple of years. So, here's the JetBlue A321. So you got the Airbus A321 200 tiles right there, you got the CGI image of the aircraft, you got the aircraft name, knock knock, Blue's Air. Blue. Well, this model, of course. Hope you guys like that joke. I'm honestly not really that good at jokes, but yeah, you kind of get my point about these knock knock jokes. Whoopsie. You got the NG Models logo right there, 1/400 scale collectible model, die-cast metal, JetBlue logo, and the aircraft registration, November 957, Juliet Bravo. And then moving on to the, well, before that, I do want to take a look at this. So it almost looks similar to like the JetBlue's, like on their balloons tails. It almost looks similar, but they added the colors of the new JetBlue livery. Well, the JetBlue livery with the balloons livery itself. Here's the bottom side, here's the right, top, and left, and then here's the back side. Wait, did I mention? Well, I think I'm actually said back, but this is the bottom side of the box, and here's the back side of the box, which of course you got the NG logo on the top left corner, warning hazards, and the social media pages, which have like a light blue streak. And the item number of this model is 13107. So overall, super excited to add another JetBlue new livery in my collection, and who knows, maybe more of these might pop up. Maybe Angie could do like a JetBlue A321 Neo in the mint livery, but we'll see. And now if I could try to get this thing open, which I don't know why I can't get this thing open. Okay, just gotta pop the top like that. There we, come on. There we go. And let's take her out. And there she is right there. And then as I also take out my CRP, this is the December 2023 CRP, which I also have for the 737 MAX 10 for United. And as I take her out, and there she is, the JetBlue A321 new livery with the balloons pattern livery. And there she is, and it almost looks similar to, man, the colors, honestly, I don't even know what to say. Like, the colors look different compared to the one of the CGI image, which, okay, the wing is detached, the wing is loose, the port wing is loose, which I can just, like, try to yank it off like this. Okay, so just want to inspect it. Okay, so I think the paint chip isn't really all that bad, so that should be an easy fix, but okay, we're 2 models in, and we already got a broken model, which, yeah, that's kind of like the reality for most model collectors. There will be times where a model does come broken, but it's not all like the shipper's fault, but I think some inaccuracies on like the gluing, it could be the reason why this model came broken, but I can't really complain too much. Either way, I got a couple of broken models from the past, but this should be an easy fix. So without being said, I'm just gonna like fix it off camera, and then we're gonna review this model from there. So without being said, let me fix her up, and we'll get into the review. And here's the NG Models 1/400 scale JetBlue Airbus A321 in the balloons livery, or balloons pattern livery, or whatever you like to call this livery. I could just call it the new balloons livery. Well, yeah, you get what I mean. But still, this is a cool model to have in my JetBlue collection once again, and I was able to fix that port wing. And overall, it looks good, it's new. And honestly, I think I did a good job. It almost looks like the port wing almost looks as level as the starboard wing. So, hats off for me to fixing her. So, let's get started with the model review itself. It kind of like slid a bit, but let's get started with the review. So you got the cockpit windows right there, you got the nose shape of the aircraft. Of course, it looks much more accurate in real life. Like it almost looks as like what it is in real life. You got the knock knock Blues Dare tiles right there, you got the L1 boarding door, you got the JetBlue billboard titles, you got your top antenna and your nose landing gear and the nose landing gear door, which I think it contains part of the aircraft's registration. And am I seeing things with the yeah, sorry, I was kind of inspecting the nose landing gear a bit. Kind of seeing something off or odd, but I don't think I see anything. You got the L2 boarding door right there. You got the IAE V2500 engine right there, which honestly I love the details on the engines. I think NG Models did a good job. You got some decal printings right there. You got your L3 door right there, and then your shark lid, which is mostly present on many of JetBlue's A321 fleets. And then you got like some kind of like maroon. It's like a maroonish, like I think what I saw from like the real life images, it almost looks like a magenta color, but from here it almost looks like a maroon color when I look at it. But it may appear differently when I put it out on sunlight. As we look at the wing, nothing much on the wings, can't really explain too much, but you got all the various details, like printed details, and then lots of detailing on the flaps, slats, spoilers, and all the fairings right there. And then moving on to the back side of the plane, this is where the livery starts. So as you can see, it's almost like what it is on the balloons livery, like the balloons tail on most of the JetBlue A321 fleet, but the balloons start from over here, and then it extends all the way to the empennage area of the plane, which I think NG Models did a good job on like the coloring of the balloons livery. And I've been also look on real life images of this livery, and then I think the light blue looks accurate. It kind of appeared differently on the box because it almost like appears like a tealish color, like a turquoise color, but the model itself features like a light sky blue color, which I think that's more accurate in compared to like the real life counterparts. You got your US flag right there and the aircraft registration, November 957 Juliet Bravo, and then the Airbus A321 titles right there, and then you got your L4 door, and then you got your bottom antenna and your back rear antennas alongside with the Wi-Fi dome, and then moving on to the empennage, you got your APU and the horizontal stabilizers right there, and pretty much where the tail lines up with the livery itself. So here is the tail, and yeah, it overlaps the fuselage area where the livery is present. So that's really cool, and NG Models did a good job on the printing as well. So really cool right there. Here's the front section as we look at the fan blades. I think the fan blades are very nice. I think these are very well detailed. Well, not really as detailed, but I think it's well detailed for what it is for NG Models right there. So really cool. And then moving on to the starboard section of the plane, you got your R doors, R1, R2, R3, and R4. And somewhere over here, you can't barely see it, but I think the forward cargo bin should be somewhere right here. And then as for the aft cargo bin is right there, alongside the bulk compartment. Now to give you guys some different perspectives of the plane, so here's the top view of the plane itself. You can barely see any details. I mean, I can see the beacon light, but because this plane is pretty much all blue, it's kind of like hard to see the details. Moving on to the bottom section of the plane, you can slightly see a little bit of the details right there at the bottom. You got your jet blue tiles on the aircraft's belly right there, and then you can see, I think you can see more when it's like on the white and light blue side. And then moving on to the front section of the aircraft, if I could try to like maneuver it. So here it is. So here's the front view of the plane, and then moving on to the back view. Here's the back view of the aircraft right there. So overall, what a nice model from NG Models, and yeah, really nice to have another JetBlue aircraft in my collection in their new livery. Hopefully I can try to see a new livery with the balloons tail in the future. Well, balloons livery itself. But maybe at some point during my next spotting trips to SFO or so. But still, this is a cool model to have in my collection, and I'm really glad to have it. And maybe I can use this in a future airport update at some point. So that is all the NG Models right there. Let's move on to the GeminiJets. And now we move on to GeminiJets territory. And we're gonna get started with the GeminiJets 1/400 scale Delta Airlines McDonnell Douglas MD-90 in the Colors in Motion livery. First MD-90 model in my collection. This is not my bingo card, but hey, it's nice to add another Mad Dog in my model plane collection, even though this is just a stretched out version of the MD-80. So, really cool model right here, and yeah, the MD-90s for Delta Airlines were a pivotal asset for their fleet. Unfortunately, there are no more MD-90s in service, as Delta was the last operator of the type until they retired those in 2020. But hey, even though I have not seen an MD-90, which honestly I don't know if I ever will, I'll still get a model out of it, because like honestly the Colors in Motion livery on this aircraft looks very nice, and I also do have the MD-80 in this livery as well. So, we're gonna get started with the review. So you got the GeminiJets 25th anniversary logo right there, 1998 to 2023. Even though it's already 2025, which is 2 years ago. Made for collectors by collectors. You got the CGI image of the aircraft. You got the MD-90 tiles right there, McDonnell Douglas MD-90. You got the Delta Airlines logo and their upward and onward logo, which I wish they could have stick with this logo for the box art. But hey, That's how they do it, and that's how they roll. You got the SkyTeam logo as well. You got the 1/4 scale die-cast small aircraft tiles right there. Here's the bottom side of the box, right side, top side, and the left side. And on the back, here's the CGI image of the plane taken off with some clouds, as real as it gets, highly collectible, and all the various bullet points, all that stuff. You got their social media pages right there, Boeing licensed product, and the Delta Airlines training product right there, and the 2024 GeminiJets copyright label right there. And the item number in this model is GJDAL1417. So let's have a look at the model itself. So as I open up the pamphlet, there it is, and honestly it almost looks like the MD-80 almost yet again. This is a stretched out version of the MD-80. And here's the description of the MD-90. As you can see, here is like the full description of the plane, and then you also got the characteristics and all the stats of this particular plane itself, or this registration. So you can pause and read. And then let's have a look at the box itself. Well, the model itself. We already looked through the box, but let's have a look at the model. So let's pop the top, like so. If I could try to like find a space to pop the top. Maybe this side, I guess. Let's see, there we go. So we just pop the top like that. Take out the cradle. Look at the model itself. Looking absolutely beautiful, and hopefully she is intact. Unlike what happened to that JetBlue. But hey, who knows? But as I take her out, oh my, oh yes, wow, this honestly looks really cool. Wow, the colors and motion livery looks fantastic. Wow, that's effort based. Okay, just checking to make sure. And she is intact. Wow, this looks phenomenal. Okay, this is a one-piece mold, so I can't complain. But this honestly looks really cool. And yeah, first MD-90, the stretched out Mad Dog. Wow, this is really cool. Really glad to have this in my collection. Once again, first McDonnell Douglas MD-90, and they also did the American MD-90 as well, so I might also pick that up as well. But this marks the first one in my collection. Ooh, that was way close right there. That was zoomed in very close. But still, this is an awesome model, and I'm really glad to have it for my Delta Airlines retro collection. And here's the GeminiJets 1/400 scale Delta Airlines McDonnell Douglas MD-90 in the Colors in Motion livery. This is just a really cool aircraft in my collection. Honestly, the stretched out MD-90, like the stretched out MD-80, which is basically the MD-90, looks very nice, and honestly, like, I wish I can see those in real life, but who knows? I don't think I have a picture of one, but I think I may have seen it with my own eyes back when I was, like, small, but either way, it's a cool model to have in my collection, and another Mad Dog series in my 1/400 collection. So let's get started with the review as per usual. So you got the cockpit windows right there, and then you got the nose shape of the MD-80 right there. Almost looks good. I mean, it's not really perfect for GeminiJets, but I still think they did a good job on the nose shape of the MD-80, or MD-80/90. You got some pitot tubes and stag ports right there. You got your front ventral fins, which helps for stability. And then you got the main landing gear right there. Not main landing gear, nose landing gear. And then you got the nose landing gear door right there. You got your L1 boarding door right there, and the Delta Airlines logo right there. So this is the soft widget version of the Colors in Motion widget. As you can see, it has like the curves. I kind of like talked about this on a few videos. And then you got your SkyTeam logo on the L1 boarding door as well. You got your top antenna, and then you can see some stack ports right there. And yeah, this is really cool, honestly. Like, this model itself and this aircraft, it's just really cool. Here's the cantilever wing right there, which there's nothing much featured on the wing. There's no engines, it's just like wings and fairings. And then you can see your emergency exit doors, which, unlike the MD-80, there's like two windows that are in the middle of these emergency exit doors. And yeah, that kind of explains why this MD-90, that's kind of like the unique features for the MD-90 right there. So that's really cool on how GeminiJets was able to replicate that in this printing. Well, GeminiJets printed that in this case. And then here's the wing details. Nothing to go over too much. I think the wing details are very nice. I love the printing, and you can see like reflectance. This is kind of like a almost nearly a polished look on the flaps. So that's really cool. And I think they also have it for the slats too. So that's really awesome right there. Moving on to the back area of the plane. Here's another difference with the MD-90. So unlike the MD-80, the MD-90 has an L2 door. So you can see the L2 door, which is right in front of the V2500 engine. So this aircraft has IAE V2500 engine, similar to the A321. And then you got your US flag right there, and the aircraft registration, November 9010, Delta November. And then moving on to the empennage area of the plane. Here's your empennage right there, the very back with this like nice screwdriver tail. And then you got the Delta Airlines colors in motion livery, well, the colors in motion tail, with like the ventral fin, not ventral, like the ventral fins are somewhere over here, I'm not sure where they are, but then you also got your horizontal stabilizers, which represents the T-tail right there. Alright, and then moving on to the front section of the plane, very nice front section of the aircraft, and then as you look at the engines, honestly, the fan blades are very nice, and I think Gemini just did a good job on it. And then moving on to the starboard section of the plane, there's no, like, R2 door, but it's just a L door right there, so just your L single door right there, a very tiny door, and then you got 2 forward cargo bins right there, and then you also got your aft cargo bin right there. And as I give you guys some different views of the model, here's the top view right there, nothing much on the top view, you just only got this beacon light right there. Moving on to the bottom, and honestly, this is one of my favorite things about the colors in motion livery, is this chrome bare metal reflecteds. And I think that's mostly present on my, that's present on my MD-88, Sub-64, and I think the CRJ too. Well, actually the CRJ, I don't know about the CRJ 900, but I don't think it did when I got it, but the Sub-64 and the MD-88, those featured this nice chrome metallic reflectors right there. So it's really cool on how that is transpired on the ND90 right here, and honestly it looks very nice. And then you got your stand hole and your GeminiJets logo right there. Moving on to the front view, here's the front view of the plane, and then moving on to the back as I positioned it like this, here is the back view of the plane. So overall, it's really cool to have this MD90 in my collection, and once again, it's a really cool model for my Delta Airlines retro fleet, and this pretty much sums up a total of like 4 colors of motion liveries in my Delta Airlines collection, and honestly, it looks pretty nice on this aircraft, so hopefully I could get more, but that depends on how many like widgets I get, because I love the widget more than this, but don't get me wrong, I think this livery looks very nice. So that is the Delta MD90 right there. Let's move on to the 752. The next model I'm super excited to add to my collection is the GeminiJets 1/400 scale United Airlines Boeing 757-200 in the Saul Bass livery. Another Saul Bass has arrived to my Retro United collection. So far, I think if I can remember, I have the 747 SP, the DC-10-30, the DC-8, the 767, and the 747-400. And now the 757-200 is coming to that lineup. So super excited to add this, and yeah, I got the DC-10 is my only narrow body. I think I mentioned, did I mention the 767-300 as well? I think I forgot about the 767-300, but I also have a Saul Bass livery 763. But yeah, I do have a Saul Bass narrow body, which is the DC-8, so it's good to add another narrow body Saul Bass livery, which is a 752. So you got the GeminiJets 25th anniversary logo right there, made for collectors by collectors, the same design as like the Delta One CGI image of the aircraft, Boeing 757-200, and the United Towers in their current logo, which I wish, similar to the Delta, I wish they could have stick with the United logo back when they had the Saul Bass livery. Here's the bottom of the box, right side of the box, top of the box, and the left side of the box. And here's the back side of the box right there. You got the aircraft right there, as well as gets all your bullet points, social medias, and the Boeing license product, and the United Airlines training product right there, and the 2024 GeminiJets copyright label right there. And the item number is GJUAL 1983. I kind of almost feel like, it almost is fitting because I think this livery was around in 1983, so that's really cool. Let's have a look at the pamphlet on the model. So as I open it up, there she is. Oh my god, look at that view right there. Man, that looks beautiful. And then here's the description of the 757-200 and this particular aircraft right there. So you could pause and read the description. And let's have a look at it. Oh my god, I'm super excited. Let's pop the top like so. If I can do this, just gotta grab it from the side, like the side of the box. There we go. Alright, and there she is as I take out the cradle. Man, this model looks really cool. And yeah, I guess I have more United models, like United retro models, than Delta, which it kind of explains on why United is my favorite airline. But man, that is stunning right there. Whoo, yes. Wow, let me set it in the middle. Wow, that looks oh my god, the chrome reflected. Oh my god, that looks, that makes the, oh crap. Well, unfortunately the horizontal stabilizer did cave loose, which I hope there's no paint chips. Let me just like try to like wiggle it out of there. Oh man, but I mean, this is still a good model. I mean, minus the whole defects, this is still a good model in my opinion. But man, I mean, okay, there it goes. Okay, well, I guess the I guess the paint chip isn't all that bad, honestly. But I guess we do have a loose port horizontal stabilizer, but I don't care too much. I mean, this is a United model, it's an easy fix, and it's a United retro model as well. But other than that, still a cool model though. I will have to fix that horizontal stabilizer off camera, but other than that, it's a really cool model, and I'm really glad to have it for my United Airlines retro collection. And here's the GeminiJets 1/400 scale United Airlines Boeing 757-200 in the Saul Bass livery. What a phenomenal job from GeminiJets on this model right here. I love the colors on this aircraft, and honestly, like, the Saul Bass livery, it just fits perfect on this aircraft. And honestly, GeminiJets did a wonderful job replicating this model in 1/400 scale. So let's get started with the model review itself. So let's get started. So you got the cockpit windows right there, and then you got the nose shape of the aircraft right there, which honestly I think GeminiJets' take of the nose of the 757, it's good. It's not really like the best ones again, but like, it's good for what it is. And then I think that's the aircraft ship number right there, so that's some good attention to details right there. You got some pitot tubes right there, you got your L1 boarding door, and your nose landing gear, and your nose landing gear door right there. No numbers or anything that's related to ETOPS. You got the United Airlines logo during its Saul Bass era. You got your top antenna right there, and then you got your L2 door. And then you got the teeth line that represents the Saul Bass, so you got a orange on the top, red in the middle, and a blue on the bottom right there. Moving on to the middle section of the plane. Here's the middle section, you got your emergency exit door, so this is a Gen 2 757-200. You got your main landing gears right there, and your non-winglets right there, so this aircraft does not feature winglets, but this aircraft does feature Pratt & Whitney PW2000 engines, which are the original 757. Like, these aircraft, because it has the Pratts, these are like delivered newly to United Airlines. The Rolls-Royce RB211 engines, those came from Continental, but during the merger, United took all those, so they mostly operated all their original 757s that were originally delivered from them are all retired, but not their Continental planes of the 757s. And honestly, like the Pratt engines, they are well accurate in size, and there's a lot of ground clearance. Moving on to like the wings. So here's the wings. Of course, like all your various like wing details right there, which I think GeminiJets did a good job on. You got some details on the slats and flaps. You got the flap track canoes, and then you also got your printed details right there. Moving on to the back view of the plane. So here's the back view. There's nothing on the back side of the plane. You got your US flag right there and the aircraft registration, November 536 Uniform Alpha. And this is another indication these original 757s for United is the Uniform Alpha prefix. Most of their Continentals did not feature anything, like just numbers, and that's it. And then there's your L3 door right there. And then moving on to the empennage of the plane. As you can pretty much see, this is the port horizontal stabilizer that fell. I was able to fix it, but I mean, it's not really like the best. There's some kind of like little bits of like dirt, like some kind of like dust or dirt that's sticking to the super glue, but it can't really be that seen. I mean, like if I were to look at it at a very far angle, like a very far distance, then it wouldn't be present. So, I mean, I did a good job on it. I mean, not the best, but still, I was able to manage to fix that port horizontal stabilizer at least. There's your APU right there, and then there's your starboard horizontal stabilizer right there. And here is the United tail with the United Tulip logo right there, which I think GeminiJets did a good job on putting on. And how about some amazing like rudder details? I like the fact that GeminiJets was able to add it on this aircraft. Here's the front section of the plane. As you can see, the Pratt & Whitney engines. I like the Pratt & Whitney engines. I do like the fan blade details right there. I mean, not the best, but they managed to like get some fan blade details in there. And then moving on to the starboard section of the plane. Let me zoom out. Okay, there we go. So you got your R doors, R1, R2, and R3. You got your forward cargo bin right there, and your aft cargo bin right there. Now as I move to the different views of the plane, here's the top view right there. I think the top view, there's a good amount of details on the top. You got this black thing and your red beacon light right there. Moving on to the bottom, here's the bottom of the plane. This is a one-piece mold, which I think it makes sense for GeminiJets. I mean, like, I wish they can transpire into a two-piece mold, but maybe in the future, I don't even know. But still, I think this is very nice. But what I do love is this is similar to the MD-90, is the chrome reflectance right there, which I think GeminiJets does a good job on like the chrome on some of their models. They polished it, and honestly, like on how it turned out, it honestly looks very, very nice. So great work, GeminiJets, on the chrome polish. There's your rat turbine right there, and your small GeminiJets logo right there alongside your stand hole. Moving on to the front. here's a front view of the plane, which I think it looks very nice from this angle. And then here's some wing details, like here are the wings, the ground flex, which is pretty good. And then moving on to the back as I hold the port wing. Here's the back, like the back view of the plane right there, which I think it does nice. And as you can see, I think the leveling of the horizontal stabilizers, it's almost near, like the horizontal stabilizer, I think it did a good job on fixing that horizontal stabilizer. But still, I'm really glad to have a Saul Bass 752 in my United Airlines retro collection. And honestly, it just looks very fantastic. So, the 757 joins my Saul Bass club. Wow, this is just a really cool model right there. I'm excited to see what GeminiJets has to offer on some United retros. Like, hopefully they can release the Saul Bass 727-100 at some point in the future in 1/400 scale. That would be a cool addition right there. But still, really glad to have this model to my collection. And now, let's move on to our international airline. And pretty much this exciting airline that I'm just super excited to have, which is the Emirates 777. Man, I'm super excited to have Emirates in my collection. So with that being said, let's move on to our Emirates. Man, it's been a long time coming to get this airline into my model plane collection. But right here, we have the GeminiJets 1/400 scale Emirates Boeing 777-300ER. This is just a huge step for my collecting. Like, all my collecting I've been doing, I've been collecting for 3 years, and to this day, well, before today to be exact, I never had an Emirates model in my collection. Never. But today is the day I finally get to have one for my collection, and honestly, I'm beyond excited to finally have Emirates in my collection at long last. So, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is gonna be a historic moment for me, for my model plane era, my model plane collecting era to be exact. But man, I'm super excited to get this airline into my international lineup. Now, before I review the box, I do want to explain GeminiJets' and Emirates' partnership with each other. So, Emirates and GeminiJets have a contract with each other, and usually they will like release Emirates models per year, like every single year. And it really depends on how many models they want to like release or make. And I think that has to do with the corporate releases, because there's some airlines who want like a certain design for the box arts. And I'm gonna go over this box art like later down the road. But for airlines like Hawaiian Airlines, FedEx, Air France, they have their own custom box art for most of their GeminiJets models, while United and American and Delta just have the standard GeminiJets box. Emirates is one of them, and from what I can understand, I think because of this like corporate release, GeminiJets and Emirates tend to like make many Emirates models. Like a good example would be the February 2022 releases, where they released 4 Emirates models, 3 in 1/400 and 1 in 1/200 scale. And that kind of like shows on how GeminiJets and Emirates partnership is going. I mean, some collectors may say there's too many Emirates. Like, why can't GeminiJets make less Emirates? But that really doesn't make any sense, because like it's under GeminiJets' control on how many Emirates models they want to produce. But this is all to this partnership right here. So you could see like there could be like 3 Emirates planes or 4 Emirates planes in one release set, or 5, who knows. But still, I mean, if that's how it goes, then that's how it goes. So yeah, I mean, like, honestly, GeminiJets and Emirates partnership, it's still going strong, and I love on what they had to offer. And when they released this, I was like really up for grabs for it. So here it is. It has arrived in my house, ready to be unboxed, and I'm just super excited to finally have my first Emirates model in my collection. And overall, this is just a historic moment right here for my channel and me as a model plane collector. So let's get started with the box. So this is a different box art compared to your GeminiJets standard box. As you can see, I honestly, off the bat, this looks very, very awesome. I love on how they did with this box art right here. So you got the Boeing 777-300ER tiles right there. You got scale 1/400, and then you got the Emirates logo right there. You got their website, www.emiratesstore.store. And what really stands out is the cardboard cutaway, this cutaway that shows the model itself inside. That honestly looks really cool, and honestly the model looks fantastic just by looking at it. This is really cool right here. And yes, I'm kind of like standing on the side right now is because if I were to face here in front, then you can see my hand over there. Yeah, that explains why. Because like you can pretty much see myself. I mean, I did reveal my face already, but you can see myself. But mostly I like record these videos like this. So that's the front of the box right there. Moving on to the bottom. So here's the bottom. You got the pretty much the same deal as like what you saw at the very top of the front box. But you could also see official licensed product from Emirates. So you can see why GeminiJets is Emirates, like the GeminiJets Emirates partnership right there. And then you can see the aircraft itself right there. I think this is like the actual, like the real life aircraft itself, which I think that's really cool. The top box shows like a lighter version, like a lighter shade, which I don't know why it's like that. Like, is it supposed to be like that? But yeah, I'm not really quite sure. Like, I don't know why this shade of blue looks different compared to the others. And the left side of the box shows the same thing. And am I reading this? Am I looking at this correctly? Why is it upside down? Well, I could just like just do this. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be like that. But here's the back side of the box up there. You got the Boeing 777-300ER. You got the specifications of the 777. I'm just gonna read it to you guys. So the wingspan is 64.8 meters, length is 73.9 meters, height is 18.5 meters. The maximum range of this aircraft is 13,700 kilometers. Fuel capacity is 181,300 liters. The engines are GE90s. Passenger seating capacity is 360. Cabin crew seats about 17, and the flight crew seats about 4. And then you could pause and read this. You could kind of like talks about like the 777 and like pretty much like I think this talks about the new Emirates livery. So you can pause and read that. And as you can see, you got 8 first classes, 4 business classes, and 310 economy classes on Emirates' 777 fleet. You got your warning hazards right there. You got the GeminiJets logo, the Emirates licensing sticker right there, and the official licensed product from Emirates sticker right there. Like the tells right logo pretty much. And the item number decimal is GJ UAE2219. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, man, I'm super excited to have this. I'm gonna have to flip the box because it's there, but here we go. My first Emirates model in my collection. If I could try like find a way on how I can pop the top, well, maybe, like, I guess I do, but let's see. Okay, there we go. So here we go. I know it's kind of like, okay, let me just position it like this. Alright, and here we go. But before I get into like, I mean like, I've been thinking about what Emirates model should I get. Oh my god, that looks fantastic. So I kind of like was up for grabs. Like, should I get the A380 or 777? But I decided to go for the 777. I do want to save the Emirates A380 for later, but for now this 777 will do. But man, I'm just super excited. Yes. Oh man, long time coming once again. My first Emirates model, and I'm not sure, like, is it me or like it was kind of like a bit harder to me to like open up the cradle, which not sure if that's true, if that's the case, but oh, yes, oh my, oh yes, wow, holy moly, man, that looks beautiful. And this is in the JC Wings mold as well. So this is my first JC Wings Boeing 777 from GeminiJets. Wow, that looks fantastic already. Oh my god. And it's not broken too. Oh my god, that wow. Oh man, I'm at a loss for words right now. Wow, this is just, I'm speechless. Just speechless. Wow. Whew. Wow, guys, this is awesome. I can't believe it. It's finally happened. It has finally happened. My first Emirates model has landed. Wow, that is just phenomenal. Oh my god, that's... Yes, that is... Oh man, I honestly don't have any words, but wow, this is just a phenomenal job. I'm really glad to have this. Wow, I'm just speechless once again. What a cool model from GeminiJets right there, and welcome Emirates to my model plane collection. This is just a pivotal asset and the most critical airline I need for my model plane collection. Wow, wonderful job, GeminiJets. That is just 100% effort. That is just effort based right there. Wow, great job, GeminiJets. great job. And here's the GeminiJets 1/400 scale Emirates Boeing 777-300ER in the revised livery. Honestly, I don't even know what to say. This is just a huge milestone for my model plane collecting. It's so cool to finally have Emirates in my collection, and just looking at the livery in 1/400 scale, I've always seen Emirates every single time whenever I plane spotting, like whenever I do some plane spotting, and getting a model out of this, it's just really, really cool in my opinion. This is just, honestly, this is just like so cool. I'm just very happy to finally have it. And overall, it's just a cool model, and this is in the JC wings mold for the Boeing 777. So this is my first JC, once again, this is my first JC Gemini 777. So this is just really cool, and yeah, a lot of great details are added to this model. So with that being said, let's get started with the review. So you got the cockpit windows right there, and then you got the nose shape of the aircraft, which I think it's I mean, it looks very nice, and I think GeminiJets did a good job on that, more particularly JC. You got the L1 and L2 boarding door right there. You got the nose landing gear and nose landing gear door containing part of the November Victor registration prefix. And yeah, unlike the previous one, okay, that was my MacBook, I do apologize, but unlike the previous one, the nose landing gear, and basically the landing gear, like GeminiJets' own 777 mold, the landing gear are 150 centimeters too big. This one is just good. This is just really, really good. Like, well accurate in size, and overall, it's just excellent. That's just absolutely excellent. You can see some P2s right there and some static ports right there. Moving on to this side, if I can try to have the camera focus, there we go. You got the big Emirates title, so this is the new Emirates titles, but unlike the previous livery, this no longer has the www.emirates.com logo, like titles right there at the bottom of the Emirates logo, so it just features Emirates that's pretty much like fill almost the entire like side of the fuselage, like not really the entire fuselage, but this part of the fuselage right there. And then you got Emirates in their language right there. And then you got your top antenna and your Wi-Fi dome. And then moving on to the middle section of the plane, you got your GE90 right there with the Emirates logo right there. Like, just the logo, not the titles like this one. Which I think it's well printed as well. Alongside the GE90, this is just a job well done. Like, it's accurate in size. I do love the details on this. It almost looks similar, like, this almost looks similar to like the actual GE90. Like, look at this. Wow, I think GeminiJets did a wonderful job on this. Honestly, in my opinion, it's better than the NG. Don't get me wrong, like, I love the NG, but this is more realistic compared to the NG in my opinion. And then there's your main landing gear right there, which they do pivot, which I think that's a really cool addition. You also got your L3 door right there. And as I move into the wings, let me zoom out of my camera. And let me just position it like this. You can see all the various like wing details. You can see some great details on the spoilers, and then you can see some slat details and flat details and your canoes right there, your flat track canoes. Here's the rake wingtips, which I think GeminiJets also did a great job on. Wow, this is really cool. Really cool indeed. Okay, let me just set her down like so. And then moving on to the back side of the model itself, like close to the back, you got your L4 door and then some more windows right there. And honestly, I would love to like fly Emirates on first class, but these first class tickets on Emirates are very expensive, so I don't know if I want to try flying Emirates. I would love to, but like I think even for economy, it's still expensive, like hella expensive, like just so much money down the drain. I'm like, I mean, if I have a good pay, then yes, but who knows? We'll just never know. But yeah. Anyways, here's your back antennas right there, and then you got your L5 door, and then you got the aircraft registration, Alpha 6, Echo November Victor, and then as we move on to the back, like close to like the empennage, here is the livery itself, which like the revised flag itself, or the UAE flag, which almost looks like the Aeroflot logo almost, but it's just the United, instead of like the Russian flag, it's just the flag of the United Arab Emirates, which I honestly really do like this design over like their older design, which I think that it just looks more like lively. The flag waving, it just looks more lively, which I think that's a really cool addition to Emirates' revised livery. So that's really amazing right there. And then here's the empennage of the aircraft. You can see, like, my goodness, the APU, wow, holy moly, that's a more accurate 777 APU right there. That is just marvelous. Wow, that's a job well done right there. And of course, you got your horizontal stabilizers, and as I mentioned before, the Emirates tail, which the flag overlaps the back part of the fuselage. Moving on to the middle section of the plane. As you can see by the middle section, these GE90 fan blade details are just phenomenal too. Look at that. Oh my god. I think the starboard winglet, like that starboard wing, almost sits up a little bit too high. I'm not sure if I'm seeing that on my camera. Here, let me just like prop down my camera where the aircraft faces the middle. Yeah, kind of looks like, yeah, it looks like the starboard wing appears to have a bit of wing flex, but I'm not really too mad about it. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, like, the port wing looks a lot more better, but yeah, you can see how, like, the starboard wing appears to have, like, some kind of wing flex, but I can't complain too much. Either way, this is a Jason Wings mold, and honestly, it's better than GeminiJets' own 777 mold, which, yeah, I can't complain. I mean, it's how it is, but this is just even better. This is just even better. So you got your starboard section right there. You got your R1, R2, R3, R4, and R5 doors. You got your forward cargo bin right there, and your aft cargo bin right there, and then there's your bulk compartment. Now, as I give you guys a top view of the aircraft, so, oh, what is this? Is this more detail? Oh my god, like, there's literally more detail on the tail. Wow, holy moly, that is, forgot to add that detail, but that is just really, really cool right there. Wow, this is just an impressive model right here. Anyway, so here's the top view of the aircraft. As per usual, nothing much details on the top view, but I just love the printed details and the beacon light and all the various like aerials right there. Moving on to the bottom section, you can see the Emirates logo right there. So let me just position it, like, let me go through it slowly. So here's the Emirates logo right there, and then you got the GeminiJets logo as well, and then you can see the Alpha 6 Echo November Victor registration on the port side of the bottom area of the wing, as most international airlines have that registration right there. Sometimes they would also have it at the top of the wing. And then I think these are molded in air intakes too, but in addition to that, they're also printed as well. Oh my god, that is like, I think this has got to be the most detailed model I have ever seen so far. Like, most detailed one front of model. I mean, like, it's almost near like a AV400 and NG. Wow, that is like, wow, I can't believe it. Holy crap, this is just awesome. And as I mentioned, I already mentioned the front already, but yeah. But we'll go into the back view of the plane. If I could try to like maneuver it. Here's the back view of the plane right there. Let me just like, there we go. So overall, this is just an awesome model. Finally, I now have an Emirates model in my collection. This is just a job well done from GeminiJets. And overall, I'm just really impressed. I hope I can try to get more Emirates models in the future. Hopefully I can try to get an AC80 and 1/400 scale in the future. But still, this is just fantastic. That's... wow, this is just an awesome job. The GeminiJets and Emirates partnership are really strong right here. This is just a great example right there. So, great work GeminiJets and Emirates on your partnerships, and hopefully we can see more cool Emirates models from you guys. That's just amazing. Well, it depends on the circumstances, but still, really glad to have Emirates in my collection. So that is it for box number 1, which is the Panda Fox box. Let's line up all my 5 models, and we're going to proceed to the next box. So without being said, let me line up all my 5 models. And here are all the 5 models that I got from Panda Fox Toys. Overall, these purchases were well worth it, and honestly, like, many of these airlines, they were well worth it for my collection and some retro models as well. But then I also got some miscellaneous. But other than that, I think this is a good set for my like Black Friday haul from Panda Fox, and yeah, make sure to stay tuned for the next mass unboxing for the next Panda Fox Toys order that I got on Black Friday. Well, the days after Black Friday. But other than that, still really glad to have these in my collection, and hopefully I can use these in future airport updates or for those retro models on the top. Maybe some point in the future at some point. Maybe like do a retro airport update at some point. Maybe. But other than that, these are well needed for my collection. Well, some, but yeah. But other than that, cool pickups are here, and I'm really glad to have them. Alright, let's move on to the next box. Okay, and here we go with our next box. This next box comes from AV400 models, and normally if I would get something from AV400, I would normally get 1 model, but this time I got 2. And they were also having a sale too, and as you can see, here's the box right there. Quite smaller compared to the previous one. I also like the fact they also added a sticker right there. There's their AV400 sticker. And yeah, once again, I got 2 models here. Like 2 models inside this box, and I'm just super excited to have these in my collection. And these like models that I got, I think they should be really cool additions. So let me just like take care of this. Okay. Alright, that's been taken care of. Let's have a look on what's inside. So, inside these packing paper, let me just take all these out. We have some bubble wrap right there, but first I do want to show you guys the business card for AV400 Models. So as you can see, here's their Instagram and Facebook page, Quality Diecast Aviation Models, AV400models@gmail.com. That's their email, and then here's the backside. And use this discount code NV Model Club for 10% off your next order. Alright, and as I take out the models, come on, here they are. Now let me just put the packing paper back in the box and then decide to take care of that. Here they are. So as I take all them out, you can see some models already. So yeah, alright, let's do it. Yes. So let's get started with the Panda models 1/400 scale Delta Airlines Boeing 767-400ER in the Sky Team livery. First Panda models in a long time, 2 years to be exact. So that's how long I've been absent about these Panda models. That's literally how long it has been. But I also got another Aviation 400 model right here, which is the Aviation 400 United Airlines Boeing 787-10 in the Continental Globe livery. Another nice addition to my United Airlines collection, and I've been always wanting to have a United 7810 Continental Globe since these are still flying around the United fleet, so I'm really glad to have this in 1/400 scale. So here are all the models from AV400. Great purchases right here, and yeah, Black Friday, there's really good retail stores that have they have some Black Friday sales, and AV400 models was one of them, so I decided to do my take on that deal right there. So I got these two models right here. Should be nice for my collection. And for what model I'll start with, I'm guessing I'll start with the Aviation 400 United 7810 and then proceed to the Panda models later. So just want to test on how Panda models' quality control is like nowadays. So with that being said, I'll save the Panda models for last. We're going to get started with the Aviation 400 United 7810. And here's our first model from the MP400 batch, and that is the Aviation 400 United Airlines Boeing 787-10 in the Continental Merger livery. Super excited to have this model in my collection. I've been wanting to have a Continental Globe 7810 in my collection for quite some time. I do have the Evo Blue 7810, the NG 2020 release, and I've been using that model ever since. But since these planes are still in United's fleet, there's a handful of Continental Globe 7810s in the United Airlines fleet, and just only a few Evo Blue 7810s. So I decided to get this model because of that. So here it is, the 7810. United Airlines, or not United, NG had a 7810 Continental Globe for I think they released it somewhere in 2018 or 2009, or they're one of the first 7810 molds in NG's database. That model is already rare, and since Aviation 400 announced this model, I decided to get it. So this is my third Aviation 400 model in my collection. So you got the Boeing logo right there, the 787-10 tiles right there. You got the Aviation 400 logo right there, United Airlines logo, and some kind of blue background, this blue area right there. You got the CGI image of the plane. You got the aircraft registration, November 12003, 1/400 scale, and die-cast model aircraft. Moving on to the bottom, here's the bottom section of the box. Item number or art number is AV400. And then here's the side with just the United logo, and the top side is almost similar to the bottom side. And then you got the Boeing 787-10 tiles right there. There's a little bit of ripping of the box right there, but yeah, probably it has to do with shipping, I guess. But I hope this model doesn't come broken. And then on the back, you just have the United Airlines logo right there, made in China, and then you got your warning hazards right there. So really nice to have my 7810 Continental Globe in my collection, and this is my third Aviation 400 model, as I said before. I do have the Philippines 333 and the United 789 Evo Blue. Those are the only two Aviation 400 models I had before this one came in. So really nice to have this, and hopefully I can try to at least get more Aviation 400 models because their quality is just really insane. And there she is right there. This also has the landing gear configurations as well, so really nice to have another one that has that configuration. And yeah, Aviation 400, they're kind of the step of the game of in terms of model 1/400 model collecting. Here's the stand right there. And yeah, they're kind of known to have all these landing gear components, and then you have all the various details. I don't want to show you guys what it looks like what are the configurations. So this one is the gear up configuration right here. I also got some sticks if you want to take out the up gear parts, the the doors right there, and then here's the open gear configuration with all the landing gears right there. So really cool model, I gotta say. And then there she is. And honestly, like, I always wanted to, once again, I always wanted to have a United 7810 Continental Globe in my collection for a long time. And there she is. Wow, this honestly looks almost similar to the 789, but just a bit longer. Once again, this is the 7810. Okay, wings are good. Like, both wings are good. Horizontal stabilizer, so hopefully that's good. Tail, and there she is. So this is what it looks like with the gear up configuration, and honestly, I'm really impressed. Look at the design, and honestly, like, the color looks, my goodness, the gold reflectance is really, there's a lot to talk about the gold color. It's honestly really cool. Anyways, I do want to, like, take out the nose landing gear, like the landing gear parts. I'm gonna put it on the open gear configuration, so let me just take it out like so. Just like that. They're magnetic as well. And yeah, AV400, they're kind of like sticking with more like gear up or gear down configuration. So I decided to go for the gear down because most of, like, I just want my models to have the gears down because yes. Anyways, this one kind of fits a bit perfectly. I mean, it kind of shows just a little bit. It also wants to go out, but I don't think it's at that point really want to go out. Let me try setting her down again so I can, like, take the others and just like so. Let me just take this out as well. Oops, the plastic should stay at the bottom. And there's the second one. And let me try getting the other one in. And boom, and there she is. The 7810 for United Airlines and the Continental Globe Livery looking absolutely very nice. And honestly, they did a wonderful job with this model right here. We're really glad to have it, and overall, this should be another nice addition to my United Airlines collection right here. So, once again, here is the 7810 and the Continental Globe Livery, and I think I'm pretty much all done with the 7810 variants. I just only need two, and that's it. So I have the Evil Blue from NG and the Continental Globe from AV400. And here's the AV400 1/400 scale United Airlines Boeing 787-10 Dreamliner in the Continental Airlines merger livery. Really cool model right here in 1/400 scale. Really glad to have my first United 7810 in the Continental Globe livery, and I guess it could be my only time to have this since pretty much I've already completed the entire United 7810 fleet. I only have these two to take care of, the Evil Blue and the Continental Globe. So let's get started with the review. So you got the cockpit windows right there, and then you got the nose shape of the aircraft. I think AV400 did a good job on the nose shape of the 787. And what to know about the cockpit windows, as these are actually not black. I think to replicate what it is in real life, I think these windows are tinted, which I like that additional to detail from AV400. You got your ray dome right there, and then you got your gray underbelly, and then you got the golden swoop, so it starts from here. It's almost like similar to what it is on the Evil Blue livery, but it's just raised up a little bit more. And it has like a gold trim, so that's really cool. And yeah, most of their 787s and 737 MAX 9 fleet has this. Got some details on the pitot tubes, printed details right there, pitot tubes and stack ports. You got your L1 boarding door, and then your free Wi-Fi logo. I think that's what it is right there. You got your 3D beacon light, which is one of the great characteristics on AV400 models. Moving on to this section of the aircraft, you got your Wi-Fi dome right there, and then there's your top antenna right there, one of the first top antennas right there. You got your United billboard titles, and then you got your windows, you got your L2 boarding door as well, and then you got the GEnx engines. Most United planes operate GEnx engines for their 787s. There's your main landing gear as well. Moving on to the middle section of the aircraft, you can see all the various like details like the windows, and then you can see the swoop right there, and then you can see the L2 door and the tiny little Wi-Fi dome. I think that could be another Wi-Fi dome, I guess. And then there's all your various like details right there. Let's move on to some wing details as well. Moving on to that. So here's the wing details. You can see all the various like printed details, and then you can see the fairings right there, the canoes, and then the flaps, like the flaps and the slats. They're also detailed too. So great work on the details on the printed details on the aircraft. And then you can see the right wingtip right there, which I think AV400 did a great job on. Moving on to the back area of the aircraft right here, so you can see you got the 787 Dreamliner tiles right there. You got your bottom antenna as well, and then there's your dual black antennas right there, and then you got the aircraft registration November 12003, and then you got your US flag right there. There's your bulk compartment, and then there's your L4 door right there, and then there's the aircraft ship number. It says 1003. And then moving on to the F&Is area of the plane, you can see the APU of the 787 right there, and then the horizontal stabilizers as well, and the United Airlines Continental Globe tail, which I think they did a good job with the painting. AV400, they did a good job on the painting of the tail right there. And then moving on to the middle section of the plane, like give you guys like a nice front shot of the 787. So as you can see like fan blade details. They do spin. Actually, do they spin? Yeah, they don't spin, but you can see some fan blade details. They also got the spiral there in the middle, which I think that's some good detail from Aviation 400 right there. And then you can see the cockpit windows, which they're very well plated, and there's also an emergency hatch right there, which it's kind of like hard to focus, but the emergency hatch is right there. And then moving on to the starboard section of the plane. Here's the starboard section. You got your R1, R2, R3, and R4 doors. You got your forward cargo bin right there, and your aft cargo bin right there. Now as I give you guys some different perspectives of the aircraft, here's the top view of the plane. Unlike all the various models I reviewed, this one has some great details. You can see all the various like 3D areas on the top. Moving on to the bottom, you can see the bottom, you can see your bottom beacon light right there, and some additional details alongside some well printed details like the landing gear doors, and then the rat turbine, and then you can also see some air intakes which they're well molded. They're like molded in, which I think, well, kind of molded in. I mean, they did point out the intake areas of the air intake, but I think this is still a good job from Aviation 400 right there. And then you can see some details on the engines as well. Moving on to the front section, another look at the front section. As you can see, there's ground flex on the wings, which I think, from what I'm seeing, they did a good job on. And then moving on to the back, here's the back side of the plane right there. So overall, really glad to have a Continental Globe 7810 once again, and pretty much I'm already done with all the United 7810s. Just need an Evil Blue and a Continental Globe, and I'm all set. So here she is. You should see this aircraft in a couple of airport updates that I do for Roseville. And overall, it's a great asset to have for my collection and my third Aviation 400 model. So really glad to have this in my collection. I hope I can try to get more Aviation 400 models because their quality is just excellent, and all the various like details they have, that's just, it's so different compared to all the other 400 manufacturers. Gemini and NG, they never do this kind of stuff. So Aviation 400 is really like at the top of their game in terms of like details. So we're really glad to have this model, and I'm really glad to add this to my United Airlines collection. And now let's move on to the Panda models Delta 767. And the next model from AV400 is going to be the Panda models 1/400 scale Delta Airlines Boeing 767-400ER in the Sky Team livery. This is going to be a very interesting model because this is my first Panda models model in 2 years. My last Panda models model I got was the JetBlue Airbus A321LR in the Streamer's Tail. I did sell that aircraft, but I've been holding off on Panda models for like that long because there's kind of like some reasons why. I think the main reason is their quality control. The past 2 Panda models I have, because I also got the JetBlue A320 Spotlight for them, most of those models, including the JetBlue A321 Streamers, came broken. They came with detached wings, and I was like really concerned about Panda models' quality controls at that time, during like that 2021-2022 time frame. I was really concerned about them. So I hold it off for 2 years, and then after 2 years later, I got another one, and it's this Delta 764. Now, from what I heard, I think Panda models did improve their quality as of late, and I've seen some videos on people unboxing the 767s from Pandas, and they never came broken. So, who knows, will I get this model broken or not? But I'm not really doubting myself that it's gonna come broken, like it's gonna be intact. If it comes broken, it is what it is, but I would be shocked to see this thing intact. So, first Panda models order in 2 years. Let's see how their quality control is as of late. So, you got the Boeing 767-400 there, you got the CGI image of the aircraft, you just got like 2 colors on the front box. You just got a navy blue and a white. You got the Delta Airlines logo and the SkyTeam logo, 1/4 scale, and the aircraft registration is November 844, Mike Hotel. And then here's the bottom side of the box. Here's the right side, top side, similar to the bottom. And then here's the left side. And then moving on to the back, it's just the same art design. You got the warning hazards right there, and it says made in China. Now if I can try to look for the item number, maybe it's this one. I think the item number is 62423. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm guessing this could be the item number of this model right here. Moment of truth. Will I receive this model broken or not? Honestly, I'm taking another shot. This is my third Panda models. I hope 3 times is a charm, so as I take her out, and honestly, it does look nice from the bottom, from like the cradle. Nothing is in the box. But yeah, this just shows how long it has been, because once again, I was really concerned about their quality controls. I hope this model did not came broken. Either way, AV400, they didn't inspect the model, so let's see how they do after 2 years later in 2024. Alright. Okay, well, I think they released this in, yeah, I think they released this in 2023. It looks nice, honestly. I want to check anything. There's aerial details, there's a stand hull. Okay, everything's good with the aerials. It is glossy and it kind of feels a bit slippery, but I don't want to start with the wings first. I'd rather start with the horizontal stabilizers first, so. And the tail. Okay, tail is good. What about the wings? Moment of truth. Are the wings going to be intact? Let's see. Come on, come on. No way. There is no way this is happening right now. No shot. Oh my, no way. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my first Panda models to never come broken. Oh my god, this is for real. No joke, this is my first Panda models to never come broken. Oh my god, that is awesome. Man, 3 times was a charm. Man, those two Panda models, A320s from JetBlues, like A320 and A320 from JetBlue. Yes, while those came broken, it is what it is. But I'm really glad to finally have my first Panda models model to never come broken after just getting out of the box. No replacement needed. This is amazing. Wow. I'm just beyond fortunate. This is a cool model though. Really good efforts right here from Panda Models. And here's the Panda Models 1/400 scale Delta Airlines Boeing 767-400ER in the Sky Team livery. I'm very fortunate to have this model not come broken, and honestly, Panda Models did a wonderful job on this aircraft right here. And yeah, their quality control has improved a lot. So yeah, that just shows how Panda Models is during 2024 and later 2025. So yeah, I hope this continues for Panda Models. So let's get started with the review. You got your cockpit windows right there, and then you got the nose shape, almost similar to like the NG almost. But yeah, almost like in lines with the NG, but I think GeminiJets, theirs is okay. You got your pitot tubes right there and your stack ports. You got your nose gear and nose landing gear door containing the ship number and the ETOPS logo. You got your L1 boarding door right there, and then you got the decal that says proud to be America's most awarded airline, and you can see all their like the companies that awarded Delta Airlines for that. You got your Sky Team tiles right there and your Delta Airlines logo right there, and then you also got the L2 boarding door right there and the similar decals right there. And did I mention the top antenna? Okay, I just want to make sure that I clarify that. And then moving on to the middle section of the plane, you got your CF6 inches, which they're accurate in size, and honestly, they're well proportional as well. So great work, Panda Models, on that. I want to try to make sure I focus it. There we go. You also got your 2 dual antennas, like dual Wi-Fi domes right there. There's your bottom antenna, which is painted yellow, which that's some good attention to detail from Panda. So great work on that. You also got your back antenna as well. And then moving on to the wings, as you can see, the wings are very well detailed on this model. As you can see, there's some good put-in details, but I can see the slats, the spoilers, and then you got the flaps and the canoes. So that's really good attention to detail from Panda for the 764 mold. And then you can see the winglet right there, the rake winglet, the wingtip, I meant. And also, they also did a good job on the rake wingtip as well, like how they molded in. So that's really cool. Moving on to the back section of the plane, you got your Sky Team logo and the L4 door right there. You also forgot to mention the L3 door, but yeah, there is the L3 door right there. You got your US flag right there and the aircraft registration, which is November 844 Mike Hotel. Actually, they did see this exact registration in Seattle, Tacoma, but I ended up getting it while I was in the air and while I was on the ground. So I have a photo, I think it's in one of my stories, but yes, I did see the aircraft. I'm not sure if I did post an Instagram story on that, but yes, I did see this aircraft in real life, so yeah, but hopefully I could try to get a good photo of her in the future, but we'll see how that goes. But other than that, it's really cool to see this aircraft in person. You also got your bulk cargo bin right there. And then moving on to the empennage of the plane, you got your APU and the horizontal stabilizers, which I love the details on the horizontal stabilizers. I think Panda Models did a good job on. There's like an area where it's like just dark gray, and yeah, that almost kind of looks resemblance to like what the horizontal stabilizers are like in real life, so that's really cool. Well, I haven't seen this aircraft from above, but that's good attention to detail on how Panda Models does these models right there. So really cool. And then you got the tail with the SkyTeam logo right there. So a navy blue background with the SkyTeam tiles right there, like just the logo in general. And then you can see the aircraft strip number, which is 1820. Moving on to the middle section of the plane, as I look at the details of the engines, as you can see, also they do look nice. There's not a lot of details. If I can slightly see it, there might be. I'm not sure if I'm seeing any spirals, but still, I think this is a good detailing from Panda Models right there. And as you can see, I think the cockpit windows are. Let me try lowering down the cockpit windows. I think the printing on the cockpit windows are about okay. I think it might be different from my camera angle, but from looking at it, they almost look they're printed very good. So nice effort from Panda right there. And yeah, really surprising on how I have all 767-400s from Gemini, NG, and Panda, excluding Dragon Wings. So that's no, it's not Dragon Wings. Herpa used to make this before in 1/400 scale. So I have pretty much all the manufacturers that did the 764, excluding Herpa, because the Herpa mold is kind of like obsolete compared to NG's, Gemini's, and Panda's version. So yeah. But anyways, we move on to the starboard section. You got your R1, R2, R3, and R4 doors right there. You got your forward cargo bin, which is under the Delta tiles right there. And then you got your aft cargo bin, which is like overlap with the SkyTeam logo. And as I look at the overhead view of the plane, so we'll start from the top. So here's the top view of the plane. As you can see, good detailings on the top. Moving on to the bottom section. So here's the bottom. I do love the fact that the air intakes are molded into the model, so that's really cool. And here is the yellow bottom antenna, which that is great attention to detail for Panda, so great work on that. There's your stand hole right there. Moving on to the front section of the aircraft. Come on. There we go. So here's the front section of the plane. Really good ground flex on the wings. And then moving on to the back area of the plane. Here is the back view of the aircraft. So overall, this is a stupendous job from Panda Models. And yeah, this is like Panda Models are in the step of the right direction. And hopefully I can try to get more, especially on how good their quality control is nowadays. So yeah, once again, first Panda Models to never come broken. So yeah, no replacement is required for this model right here. And honestly, they did a phenomenal job with this model. Really glad to have another SkyTeam logo. Honestly, I think the gray almost looks similar to like the NGs when I look at it. I wish I could get my Delta 78 SkyTeam livery from NG, but yeah. But still, I think this is almost really well accurate, and honestly, it's just a nice model to have in my collection. And yeah, another SkyTeam aircraft has been added to my Delta fleet. So hopefully I can try to get all the other international airlines though. But yeah, really cool model, and I'm really glad to have it. Anyways, let's line up all my two models from AV400, and we're gonna proceed to the next clip. And here are all the two models I got from AV400's Black Friday sale. Really glad to have these in my collection. Once again, I have the United 7810 Continental Globe from Aviation 400 and the Delta 764 SkyTeam livery from Panda Models. And yeah, both of these are well perfect for my United and Delta collection, and hopefully I can try to feature those in a future airport update. And yeah, they did an excellent job. So great work, AV400 models, and I would highly recommend buying for them if ever you're living in Canada or in the US. Though international shipping will be a fee if you're living in the States. But still, if you're living locally in Canada, then AV400 Models is a great model manufacturer or model retail, not manufacturer, model retail store to get some models from. So, great work AV400 Models. Let's proceed to our final box. And our last box for this mass unboxing comes from DG Pilot. And I gotta say, this has got to be one giant box. Literally, it's a giant box with a ton of models. Now, I also got a lot of models from DG Pilot. They also had their Black Friday sale. And honestly, their sale is good. Like, I got some good discount codes. Like, once I put that on the checkout counter, or like just checkout area, it's automatically discounted. So, as you can see, I got a handful of models, many of which are going to be well interested in my collection. But other than that, as I look around, yeah, you can really tell how big this box is. Literally, it nearly fills my cutting board right here. So, yeah, and I literally have to stand up for this. So, yeah, I'm kind of recording while I'm standing right now. There's a bit of boxware over there, but hopefully all the models are intact. But we're gonna not waste further time and unbox this, like take out this box. Like, cut open the box in this case. And yeah, let's see what the models are inside. And yes, we're getting a bird's eye view out of this, so you guys can take a look. And yeah, Donnie and outside MSP Aviation, because I saw them at Airlines International, they handle this business very well. And yet, once again, if you want to check out the storefront, it's at Minneapolis, Minnesota. And just want to make sure that I have all the right details. Okay, so I think I should be good. And the note says, "Thanks for shopping with us," from the DG Pilot team. And yeah, I don't want to get into too much details because it shows some of my information, but we're going to get a bird's eye view out of this. So we're going to get started with our models. They're all in one bubble wrap. So we're going to take out all these models from the pack, like the packing paper, and here they are. So here's the one that, looks like one pack of peanut fell. Like there's one of the packet peanuts. So we're gonna get started here. I'll just put this aside and we're gonna take out all these models. So we're gonna get started right away with a couple of models from this bubble wrap. Alright, let's take it out. And we're gonna get started with the NG Models 1/400 scale Southwest Airlines Boeing 737-800 in the Triple Crown 1 livery. Super excited to add another Southwest special livery in my collection. It's not a state livery this time, but a Triple Crown 1 livery is one of the special liveries I need for Southwest. And then we got a couple of GeminiJets as well, so we're gonna get started on those. We first have the GeminiJets 1/400 scale Alaska Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 8 in the Honoring Those Who Serve livery. Super excited to have this in my collection, another Alaska Airlines plane in my collection to add to my Alaska lineup. And alongside with that, I have the American Airlines Airbus A321 in the America West Heritage livery. Another Heritage has landed in my collection. I'm also excited to have this in my collection as well. And as for the last model that's under this box, if I can try to take it out, I should have 5. Should I? Let me double check. Okay, I guess it's 4. Hang on, let me look at my receipt. There's one more model in there, but as I look at my receipt, okay, 4. So just making sure there's 4 models in there. And as I take out my last model and take it out of the bubble wrap, you can already see the airline itself. But I'm also excited to add this in my collection too. But it's another international airline out of looks like another aircraft for this international airline. So as I take this model out of the bubble wrap, we have, come on, get out. There we go. We have the GeminiJets British Airways Boeing 777-300ER in 1/400 scale. Another model to add to my British Airways collection, and overall, really glad to have this as well. So here are all my models right here from DG Pilot, and once again, thank you so much Donnie and MSP Aviation for all your customer service and what you've done to the model plane community right here. And honestly, all these models, they provide some amazing stocks from Gemini's and NG Models, and as you can see, this is no exception right here. So really glad to have these in my collection. Let me lower down my tripod, and yeah, here they all are. Surprise, there's 4 models in one giant box, literally came with a giant box full of 4 models right here. So super excited to add these. We're gonna get started with the America West, and then we're gonna proceed to the Alaska 737-800 or MAX 8 and the British 333. But I do want to end it off this unboxing with Triple Crown 1 because I'm just super excited to have Triple Crown 1 in my collection. So without being said, let's get started with the America West Airbus A321, and we're gonna proceed from the next couple of models. So let's get started. And the first model from DG Pilot is going to be this GeminiJets 1/400 scale American Airlines Airbus A321 in the America West Heritage livery. Super excited to add another American Heritage livery to my collection, and I was kind of on the fence of this model because I don't know when NG Models is going to make this, and GeminiJets, as far as I know, is the only 1/400 manufacturer that created this model, so I just went for the GeminiJets one for now. But we'll see what this model has for the future. Maybe if NG were to make this, then maybe I might replace it. But for now, I'm not really gonna say the GeminiJets is bad or anything. The model is good. I've seen some images on the model, and I think it turned out to look very nice. So yeah, I decided to get this model because it's America West. So you got the GeminiJets 25th anniversary logo right there, which is already past at this point. Made for collectors by collectors. Just your standard GeminiJets box. Airbus A321 tiles right there. American Airlines logo, 1/400 scale diecast model aircraft. This is the bottom side of the box. Right side, top side, and left side. And then here's the back side of the box right there, as well as it gets features right there, bullet points. There's social media pages right there. They now got the X.com logo right there. And then the American Airlines logo as well. And you got the 2024 GeminiJets copyright label right there. And the honor number of this model is GJAAL2262. And let's have a look at the model inside the pamphlet. So as I open it up, there she is, looking very nice on the inside right there. And here is the description of the Airbus A321 and this particular aircraft in general. So yeah, you can pause and read this if you want. And let's get into the unboxing, shall we? So we're gonna pop the top like so. And yeah, and America West has some, like, I have some connections with America West since this is the first American Heritage Special that I first ever saw. I saw this aircraft back in 2022 when they used to have this under Airbus A319. But that has since then been repainted into the American standard colors, and now this aircraft wears the America West Heritage livery now. So as I take her out of the cradle, there she is. Honestly, it looks very nice. The colors are on point though, so look very nice right there. Wings are good, horizontal stabilizers. And let's see the tail. We check up her antennas, and she looks good as new. Well, out of the box in this case. And there she is, the America West Airbus A321, which honestly, it looks much better than the A319. And I think GeminiJets also did a very good job on this model in 1/4 scale. So, all in all, a nice job from GeminiJets, and I'm really glad to have this in my collection. So, I have PSA and the America West. I'll see if I could try to get Piedmont or Allegheny at some point in the future, but for now, I have 2 American Airbus Special Heritage liveries in my collection, and that's all I can really say. So, really nice model right there, and I'm really glad to have it. And here's the GeminiJets 1/4 scale American Airlines Airbus A321 in the America West Heritage livery. Looking absolutely very nice here in 1/4 scale, and I think GeminiJets did a fantastic job on the livery itself on their Airbus A321 mold. So, under that, I'm really glad to have it. So I have PSA and America West in my retro American Airlines Heritage collection. So let's get started with the model review. So you got the cockpit windows right there, and then you got the nose shape of the aircraft. That's kind of like one of the main flaws on GeminiJets' Airbus A320 family mold is the nose shape. But from what I'm seeing, there's like a bit of improvement, but it's not really as like really good as the NG. But I still think this still looks good, even though GeminiJets is kind of like down on this. But yeah, there's like a slight improvement. I think the rounding of the nose kind of seems a little bit better, but yet again, like when you look at it from the top, so let me put this up, it still kind of gets that pointy nose feel of the model. So yeah, but yeah, when you look at it off to the side, it almost looks like there's like that roundness over there on the A320 nose right there. So that's kind of like a little bit of like a difference you see compared to their previous models, but I think this is a good take on GeminiJets right there. So great work. There's your Panda stack details and your stack board details right there. You got the American Airlines logo and your passenger windows. You got your top antenna and your nose land gear and your nose land gear door containing part of the aircraft type and the ship number of the aircraft. You got the Airbus A321 tiles right there, the logo, you got your One World logo, you got the L1 Boeing door, and your L2 door right there. And then moving on to the middle section of the plane, well, let's look at the livery itself first. So as you can see, the livery of the America West retro livery, as you can see, has that, it kind of looks like a sea green underbelly. So it runs all the way to the forward and all the way to the aft area of the aircraft. You can also see a black and orange cheat line that is wrapped around this side of the aircraft. So yeah, looking very nice. And yeah, the America West livery is one of the most recognizable liveries in retro aviation. So really nice that American Airlines is keeping that legacy with this livery right there. Here's your IAE V2500 engines right there, which are well accurate in size. So that's one pro for GeminiJets' Airbus mold. More in particular, the A320s, A319s, and A321s that operate with IAE engines, because these are well accurate in size. So great work GeminiJets on getting the size correct on the engines. You can see the sea green, and then you got the black and orange bands that are wrapped at the very front of the engine. You also got your America West logo right there, which I think they also did a good job. They did a good job on the printing, and then you can see some extra details on the engines. There's your main landing gear right there, and then as I move the aircraft to this side right here, you can see the fence wingtip. Can I zoom it in? But as you can see on the fence wingtip, they managed to print the America West logo very good, even though this aircraft is 1/4 scale. So great work GeminiJets on getting that detail in. Moving on to some wing details, so kind of like your typical wing details on an Airbus A320 family model, or just aircraft in general. You got your spoilers, flap check canoes, slats and flaps, and then all your various details, airlines and all that stuff, which I think GeminiJets did a good job on the wing details right there. Moving on to the back area of the plane, so kind of like the aft area, There's your L3 door and more passenger windows. I'm not sure what's going on. There's like kind of like hair particles like that I'm seeing on this model. I'm not sure if that has to do with dust or something, or what's the deal right there, but yeah. And then there's your, anyways, there's your L3 door, then there's your back antennas, and then you also, excuse me, you also got your Wi-Fi dome right there, and then you got the US flag and the aircraft registration, November 580, Uniform Whiskey. I did see this aircraft back in Sacramento International Airport back in May 2022, and I got a very nice departure shot out of her, so really nice to see this aircraft, and maybe I've seen this aircraft dozens of times during my work too, but that's one photo I can think of like getting a good shot of America West on the A321. You can also see the aircraft ship number right there, or just like part of the numbers of the reg, which is 580. And then what's really cool about America West's livery is there's some kind of like gray lines that start from all the way over here and runs all the way like to the back area of the plane. I'm not sure if this is kind of like representing like waves or something, but that's one cool feature on the America West livery that many people have not seen like get their attentions of, so that's really cool right there. You also got your L4 door, and then moving on to the empennage area of the plane, you got your APU housing door right there and the APU, and then you also got your horizontal stabilizers, which have some nice detailing on this model right here. And then you got the America West tail right there, which I think GeminiJets did a good job on the painting, and the color also looks very nice. It almost looks like the color on the actual aircraft, so great work GeminiJets on getting the colors good. Anyways, let's move on to the front section, like kind of like in the front section, so we can see some fan blade details. So you can see the fan blade details right there, which I think GeminiJets also did a good job on. And then you can see the cockpit windows, which I think they're well straight and printed very correctly. And then moving on to the front section, the starboard section of the plane. You got your R doors, you got your R1, R2, R3, and R4 doors. You got your forward cargo bin over here, and your aft cargo bin right there, and over here is the bulk compartment. Moving on to a top view of the aircraft, so let me just position it like this. So here's the top view of the plane. Not much on details other than that red beacon light. Moving on to the bottom though, you can see some details. I mean, like, there's, once again, the underbelly is like a sea green color, but you can still see some details right there. You also got your stand hole over here as well, and the tiny GeminiJets logo. Moving on to the front section of the plane. So here's the front section of the plane. I do like the fact that the wings are ground flex configured. And then moving on to the back area, here is the back area of the plane right there. So overall, great work GeminiJets on this model right here. I'm not sure if I want to try to get the Allegheny and Piedmont next, but for now, I do have two American Airlines heritage liveries on their Airbuses, mainly their A321, since many of them are in the A320. Well, all of the heritage liveries are now in the Airbus A321. So once again, really nice model, and I'm really glad to have another American Airlines heritage livery in my collection. So what a good model right here. Alright, let's move on to our next GeminiJet model. And the next model we'll be taking a look at is the GeminiJets 1/400 scale Alaska Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 8 in the Honoring Those Who Serve livery. Super excited to add my first Alaska MAX 8 to my collection, and I was on the fence if I want to get this model or the standard livery version, but I have some special things to say about this Alaska 737 MAX 8. So let's get started with the box. So you got the GeminiJets 25th anniversary logo right there. Once again, outdated already, made for collectors by collectors. See a CGI image of the plane. Boeing 737 MAX 8 tiles, right there. Alaska Airlines logo and 1/4 scale die-cast model aircraft. Here's the bottom side of the box. Here's the right, top, and the left side of the box. And here's the back side of the box right there. You got the aircraft, like the airplane taken off, as well as it gets with your bullet points. There's your social media pages. There's the Boeing licensed product and the Alaska Airlines trademark product right there. And the 2024 GeminiJets copyright label right there. And the item number of this model is GJASA 2258. So I have some significant special things to say about this aircraft, so let me tell you the story. So I was in Seattle-Tacoma International Airport in September 2024 doing some plane spotting with Lucas, and this aircraft is one of the newly delivered Alaska 737 MAX 8s, and we were just hoping that we see an Alaska MAX 8 during our plane spotting sessions. But it turns out this aircraft came to SeaTac on that day, and it was my first time seeing an Alaska 737 MAX 8, and this is what this registration carried it off. This special livery was the first time I seen an Alaska MAX 8. this special livery right here. I don't know if I was saying that correctly, but to say in a short sentence, the first Alaska 737 MAX 8 I saw was the Honoring Those Who Serve livery. So I got a beautiful photo of the aircraft while she was taxiing to the gate, and honestly, I would never miss it for the world. Really glad to catch this particular aircraft. So I pretty much seen all of the Alaska Honoring Those Who Serve special liveries by then. And then on the next day, GeminiJets released their, I think it was their September releases, and this aircraft was included. So it was surprising because the aircraft I saw, which is this aircraft from my Seattle spotting session on that day, came out on the GeminiJets release the next day. So that was amazing to think about, to say the least. But anyways, we'll get started with the unboxing right there. Well, before that, I do want to show you guys what's inside the pamphlet. I nearly forgot to talk about that. But as I open up the pamphlet, there is the aircraft right there, looking absolutely gorgeous. And here's the description of the aircraft itself and the aircraft registration in particular, so you can pause and read whatever you like. And let's get into the unboxing. So, yeah, another Alaska 737 MAX 8, Alaska 737 MAX in my collection, but this is my first time having the MAX 8 variant. Hope I could try to at least get the standard version at some point. But as I take her out, God, that looks fantastic. Oh my God, that's pretty. Alright, let me check the horizontal stage, make sure everything is all good. And we're good, and man, that looks gorgeous. Just kind of looking at the wing flex, there's no wing. I don't see that much of a wing flex, but turns out like the port wing almost seems to have some wing flex. But let me give you guys a closer look at this. This honestly looks very fantastic, and I think GeminiJets did a wonderful job on this model. But man, that's really cool right there. GeminiJets, I think their partnership with Alaska is going good. I mean, yeah, it is what it is though. But when I'm looking at this model, it kind of appears that the port wing kind of appears to have a little bit of wing flex. But I'll talk about this in the model review later. So, what a nice model right here, and I'm really glad to have it. And here's the GeminiJets 1/400 scale Alaska Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 8 in the Honoring Those Who Serve livery. What a nice model here from GeminiJets. I'm really glad to add another Alaska model in my collection because it's been quite some time since I last had one. But other than that, this is a really cool special livery, and I'm really glad that GeminiJets has made this in the first place. So let's get started with the review of the model. You got your cockpit windows right there, and then nose shape of the plane containing part of the pitot tube details, and then all your various details right there. Nose land gear and nose land gear door containing part of the registration of the aircraft, MAX 8 tiles, and the ETOPS logo. You got your L1 boarding door and the one world tiles right there, and then it also says welcome aboard on top. And then I think it also talks about thank you to all of our veterans who served this country. You got your Honoring Those Who Serve tiles right there and the Alaska Airlines logo. And there's the Honoring Those Who Serve decals. Now this is actually similar to the Hawaiian 787 from GeminiJets because originally this aircraft was going to be having 5 stars. But on the actual plane, this actual aircraft in general, it has 6 stars. So as you can see on the stars right there, the first one, so yeah, there's 5 stars. One of them each represents all the military branches of the United States, which are the United States Army, Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard, and Marines. But on the MAX 8, the actual one, which contains 6 stars, they included the United States Space Force. So that's the reason why on the MAX 8, there's 6 stars instead of 5. And from Todd's seminar, I think I was there, and Todd mentioned about the Hawaiian 787 because originally November 780 Hotel Alpha was going to be having that name, but it was then transferred to 781 instead. So that's what Hawaiian Airlines told GeminiJets about, because they were going to have that name on 780. So GeminiJets ended up making this before Hawaiian Airlines delivered their first 787 on 781 containing that name. So yeah, when GeminiJets rolled this out of the production line, it still had the name on 781. Again, this is similar to the 737. Yeah, similar to, as I was saying, I think I kind of misspoken about what was I going to say next, but similar to the MAX 8, Alaska Airlines told GeminiJets that they were going to be having 5 stars on this aircraft. Therefore, when they delivered this aircraft to Alaska, that had 6 stars. So GeminiJets released a model out of this particular plane containing the 5 stars. So it makes sense why that's the case, but yeah, that really shows on all the contracts for GeminiJets has with all these various airlines. Moving on to the middle section of the plane, you got your emergency exit doors right there, you got your top antenna, and then your LEAP 1B engines, which I'm guessing they contain 6 stars. I'm trying to let me count. So I'm guessing 1, 2, 3. It's kind of very hard to tell because this is a 1400 model, but I'm assuming there could either be 6 stars, like 6 bands, or 5 bands on the engines. Which, if there's 6, then that's good and accurate, but still, I think this explains like the whole situation on what this livery has to offer. But I'll say though there's some good details and there's adequate ground clearance on this model right there. So that's good from GeminiJets and no rocket ship engines. There's your main landing gear right there with a blue outer wheel right there. And then you got your AT winglet containing part of the American flag, which I think GeminiJets did an excellent job on printing. Moving on to some wing details. So here are the wing details. You got your flap track fairings or canoes, and then your very spoiler details, airline details, and all your flaps and slats right there. So great work, GeminiJets, on the printing right there. Moving on to the back area of the aircraft. If I can try to focus again, you got your back antenna right there, and then your aircraft registration, November 806, Alpha Kilo, and then your United States flag right there. You got your L2 door right there, and then there's the decal that, of course, is one of the decals for the Honoring Those Who Serve livery. Once again, we honor our veterans with this special livery right there. So great work, GeminiJets and Alaska Airlines, on designing this livery and this for it to honor all of our military personnel. And then here we are in the empennage area of the plane. You got your APU and the horizontal stabilizers. Well, the APU and the tail dragger right there, but then you also got your horizontal stabilizer, which has a good amount of detail right there. And the blue Chester, which is Alaska Airlines' logo right there, which I think GeminiJets also did a good job on the printing of the logo. And then there's also some nice rudder detail as well. Moving on to the front section of the plane. So here's the front section of the plane. You can see the aircraft, the 806 on top of the cockpit windows, and then you can see some fan blade details, which I think GeminiJets did a good job on. But I will say though, there is wing flex on the model, more in particular the port side. So as I set my tripod like this, as you can see, so I think it's the starboard side of the aircraft that appears more accurate in terms of ground flex. So as you can see, here's the starboard side. The port side appears, the tip of the AT winglet sits much higher compared to the one in the starboard wing, which I also have this on my United 737 MAX 8 second iteration. There's a similar concept to this, which I can't really complain too much. I mean, it's what GeminiJets, that's how it is on GeminiJets, but I'm not sure if they use the old 737 MAX 8 mode, because the another iteration, I don't think it had wing flex, but it had rocket ship engines. But yeah, but it's how they roll right here, which I cannot complain. Anyways, we're here on the starboard side. You got your R1 and R2 doors. You got your forward cargo bin right there, and your aft cargo bin, which is, I know it's blue, but it's right there. Now, as I took a look at the different perspectives of the model, so here's the top view of the model right there. Looking very nice. Once again, the same old details, like with the beacon light and all your extra details right there. Moving on to the bottom, as you can see, here's the bottom of the model right there. You got your stand hole, and then your GeminiJets logo, which is printed very tiny. So yeah, there it is right there. Not much on printed, like, good details besides like the molded in tail strike, but there's no 3D air intakes, but at least they're printed at least, so that's good. Here's the front view of the plane right there. As previously mentioned before, the wing flex on the port side of the engine, which I can't really complain too much. And then moving on to the back section, here is the back section right there. So overall, this is still a good model from GeminiJets, and I'm at least glad to have this in the first place. We'll see if NG Models can make this in the future. I'm not sure if they have plans on making this. Like, they haven't released an Alaska Airlines model in quite some time. But we'll see if NG Models can do a take on this, and hopefully they can at least get that decal of the Honoring Those Who Serve logo right. But I cannot complain too much. I still think GeminiJets did a good job on this model, and overall, really glad to have pretty much the entire mainline fleet in the Honoring Those Who Serve livery. I'm only missing the E-135. So hopefully I can try to get that at some point in the future, but other than that, in real life I've seen all of the Honoring Those Who Serve liveries on the Alaska Airlines' planes. But still, good model right there, and I'm really fortunate to have it, and hopefully I can feature this model in future airport updates. Alright, let's move on to our wide-body aircraft. And to round off all the GeminiJet stuff for this mass unboxing, we have the GeminiJets 1400 scale British Airways Boeing 777-300ER. Super excited to add another British Airways model to my collection. I've been wanting to diverse my fleet of British Airways planes because I had the AT-50-1000 and the 777-200. So nice to get the 777-300ER in my collection right here for British Airways. So you got pretty much the same thing. You got the GeminiJets 25th anniversary logo right there, made for collectors by collectors. So you got the CGI image of the plane, Boeing 777-300 right there, and British Airways logo, and then 1/4 scale die-cast small aircraft. Bottom side of the box, right side, top, and left. And then here's the back side of the box, as well as against features right there, bullet points, and their social media pages alongside with the plane at the top. You got the Boeing licensed product and the British Airways trademark product right there. And this is the 2024 GeminiJets copyright label right there, which I think that was released in February/March of 2024. And the item number this model is GJBAW2118. Let's have a look at the model inside the pamphlet. So let me just pull it up like this. And there she is, looking absolutely very gorgeous. And here's a description of the 777-300ER right there. You can pause and read whatever you like. And it also talks about the aircraft registration. So let's unbox it. So I've been thinking, like, what if NG Models made this? But I haven't seen them, like, make a 333 in just the standard livery. I did see them, they made, like, the Landor Retro, like, Landor Retro Fantasy 333. But still, it's not even like a 777 in the first place, like a standard livery 777 in the first place. So I decided to go for the GeminiJets version instead. Either way, this is in the JC Wings mold, and oh my god. Similar to the Emirates, this actually looks very nice. So yeah, let me check the wings though. Horizontal stabilizers, are they intact? And the tail. And she is intact. And man, honestly, this looks really gorgeous right there. Really nice to have a 333 for British Airways in my collection. The starboard wings appear to be like seated, like I think the starboard wing appears to be seated, like I think it's like slanted a little bit upwards, like kind of like in that wing flex configuration. But still, I can't complain. Either way, I do have a British 333 in my collection, and there's nothing to complain about. But on that, it's a really cool model to add to my BA collection. And here's the GeminiJets 1/400 scale British Airways Boeing 777-300ER. A nice model to add to my BA collection once again, and honestly, GeminiJets did a wonderful job on this beautiful aircraft in the JC Wings 333 mold. So, really glad to have it, and this should at least diverse my British Airways fleet just a bit. I just need the 787 and possibly the AT80 as well. So, you got your cockpit windows right there, which I think GeminiJets did a good job on the printing. You got the nose shape, which also looks really good. I think GeminiJets did a good job on the printing of the nose, or like just like the shape of the nose of the 333, or just the 777 in general. You got some pitot tube details and stackboard details right there. You got your L1 boarding door and your L2 boarding door right there. Each of them got the one world tiles right there. You got your nose landing gear, and nose landing gear door contain part of the letters of the registration. You got some windows right there. Some windows are blocked out because of like the business class they had to offer in this side right here. And then you got the British Airways tiles alongside the logo, alongside the crown as well, like the emblem, or just the emblem, kind of like almost like the, yeah, that's the British Airways emblem when I look at it. You also got your top antenna right there as well. And then moving on to the middle section, you got the big GE90 engine, which is proportional in size, so great work GeminiJets on that. And it also looks realistic too, as previously mentioned on the Emirates, which honestly GeminiJets did a wonderful job on that. You also got your main landing gear as well, and then you also got some wing details right there. I'll also show you the overhead wing details, but you can also see a landing light right there. There's your LC door that's situated over the wing right there. This acts as an emergency exit door. You also got your Wi-Fi dome as well. And now let's move on to some wing details. So here are the wing details of the 777, as you can see. Great wing details. There you can see the spoilers, the ground spoilers and flight spoilers alongside the ailerons, and the flap track canoes and the flaps and slats right there. And then there's your rake wingtip of the 333, which I think GeminiJets also did a good job on the casting of the mold. Moving on to the back area of the plane, let me just position it like this. So here's the back area of the plane. You got your L4 door right there. There's your two back antennas right there. You also got the aircraft registration, which is Golf Sierra Tango Bravo Hotel. And then you got the Royal Mail flag, or just like the Royal Mail emblem right there. And then you can see the Boeing 777 tiles right there. And then there's your L5 door. Moving on to the empennage of the plane, you can see that really good looking 777 APU, which again, similar to the Emirates, GeminiJets did a wonderful job on the design of the APU. You also got your horizontal stabilizers right there, also looking very nice. And a Chatham Dockyard tail, which represents the British Airways tail, which I think GeminiJets did a wonderful job on the printing. And then you can see the Bravo Hotel registration prefix, just like the Bravo Hotel registration prefix on the top of the tail. And you can see some great horizontal stabilizer rudder details right there. Moving on to the front section of the plane, as you can see, here's the front section. You can see the Tango Bravo Hotel registration prefix on top of the cockpit windows, and then you can see the GE90 fan blades right there, which I think GeminiJets did a good job on the design of the GE90s. For some reason, I think I was kind of looking onto the small a little bit more. I have a feeling one of the wings, I think it's either between the port wing or the starboard wing that has more wing flex, but from judging from the looks of it, I think there's more wing flex on the port wing, but I think the starboard wing kind of almost looks as what it looks like on the ground flex config. So I'm assuming like the port wing kind of has a bit of wing flex, but I can't really complain too much. Either way, this mold looks very nice. And then we move on to the starboard section of the plane, as I set up my tripod again. You got your R1, R2, R3, R4, and R5 doors right there. You got your forward cargo bin, which is somewhere right there, and your aft cargo bin is right there. Now as I give you guys some different perspectives of the model, here's the top view of the model right there, so looking very nice. All the various details are printed there alongside the aerials. Moving on to the bottom, you can see the bottom. You can see some good details on the bottom as well. You can see your GeminiJets logo right there and your stand hole as well. I also like on how you can see the main landing gear undercarriage as well. And yeah, the air intakes are molded into the model, so that's a huge plus for GeminiJets right there. And then you can see the Gulf Sierra Tango Bravo Hotel registrations on the port wing, the bottom port wing. Moving on to the front section of the plane. So here's the front section of the aircraft right there. And then moving on, here is the back section of the aircraft as well. So overall, really nice to have a British Airways 333 in my collection. Hopefully I can try to get more British Airways models to pretty much diverse all my, pretty much get all the British Airways fleet, because that's what I'm kind of thinking of doing. But other than that, really glad to add another one to my collection. So I have 3, the 333, 222, and the A350-1000. So really nice model right there, and I'm really glad to have this for my collection. They've been sending the 333s during the night to SFO from Heathrow, so I mean, I wouldn't see this really too often, but they would sometimes send in the 333 during the afternoons. That's mainly accompanied by the A380. But I think during the summer times, they would swap planes. But for now, since it's winter, they send in the A380 in the afternoon and the 333 in the evenings. But who knows what might happen in the summer. They might swap it between the A380 in the evening and the 777-300ER in the afternoon. So one of the reasons why I decided to get this model, because I would sometimes see these at SFO. But still, good model right there, and I'm really glad to have it for my collection. Alright, let's move on to our final model, and then we're going to conclude this mass unboxing from there. So without being said, let's move on to our final model. And let's finish off mass unboxing number 15 on a high note. Right here we have the NG Models 1/400 scale Southwest Airlines Boeing 737-800 in the Triple Crown 1 livery. Super excited to add another special livery to my Southwest Airlines collection. Even though this is not a state livery, this is still counted as a Southwest special livery, so I had to get it. So it's a really cool special livery. I mean, the plane is all blue, but there's this thing that represents a full meaning on the Triple Crown 1 livery, which I'll go into later once I get into the model review. But let's get started with the box review first. So you got the Boeing 737-800 tiles right there. You got the CGI image of the aircraft. You got a very nice box art representing the special livery in this case. And there you got the white, the silver lines, and then the yellow, blue, and the red. And then you got the Triple Crown 1 medal right there. You also got the Triple Crown 1 logo right there. And then you can see all the various hearts with the number 1s inserted in them. You got the Southwest tiles right there. You got the Boeing licensed product, 1/400 scale, collectible model, die-cast metal. And then you got the aircraft registration, which is November 8681 Mike. I got to see this aircraft a couple of times during my work shift in the mornings, but I also managed to spot this plane too. And one plane spotting photo I could think of that's a good picture was back in Sacramento. I got a nice picture of Triple Crown 1. I think this was during the morning hours of SMF, and Triple Crown was landing on 17 left. Yeah. No, 17 right, I mean. So she was landing on 17 left. It was a beautiful day. There were a couple of clouds, but I got a photo of her, and honestly, I love on how that photo turned out. I also got to see this aircraft for the first time when it first visited SMF, and yeah, I also got a picture of her while she was on the ramp. But overall, it's really cool to see this special livery in person, and why not get it as a model, of course. Here's the bottom section of the plane. well, the box, here's the right side of the box, top of the box, which has all the various colors, and then you got the left side of the box. Back side almost seems the same. There's no NG Models logo anywhere. Wait, is there? Surprisingly, there isn't. I think sometimes NG would like to hide the logo for reasons, I don't know. But yeah, here's the back side. You got the aircraft right there. Warning hazards, the Boeing licensed product, and the item number of this model is 58238. So let's get into the unboxing, as our final model for Mass Unboxing 15 is about to come out, and there she is. And honestly, it honestly looks very nice. Let me see if I have my CRP is in there, but it's like very dented really badly, and yeah, can't really complain too much. Either way, it is what it is. This is in the March 2024 format for the CRP, so gonna have to like straighten this out, but I'll do that later. But for now, we have the model itself right here. So honestly, the color looks very nice on the triple crown, on the 78. Well, the special livery looks nice on the 78, and whew, wow, this honestly looks really cool. NG does have a nice mold on the 737s, but let's see if she's intact. Okay, the wings, horizontal stabilizers, and tail are intact. Let's see antennas. There's antennas on the bottom and antennas on the top. And there she is, ladies and gentlemen, Triple Crown 1 on the 738 by NG Models. They were like the first manufacturer to produce Triple Crown 1 on the 800. Thought was going to be GeminiJets, but hey, NG took the cake on that one. But other than that, that's our final model for Mass Unboxing 15. Still got to review it though, but still, I love on how this model turned out right here. So great work, NG Models, on this. And it's a very, very stunning livery for Southwest, even though, once again, this plane is just, like, the fuselage is all blue, but you got that badge right there. So overall, really nice model right here. And here's the NG Models 1/400 scale Southwest Airlines Boeing 737-800 in the Triple Crown 1 livery. A nice way to cap out Mass Unboxing 15. And overall, this is a phenomenal job from NG Models right there. And NG really nails it on all their Southwest specials right here. I also got California 1 on the 800, Freedom 1, Emua 1, and just a lot to name a few. But Triple Crown 1 is added to that amazing lineup right there. So let's get started with a review of the model. So you got your cockpit windows right there and your nose shape. Of course, a very nice nose shape on all the NG 737 molds. You got the nose landing gear and the nose landing gear door containing part of the aircraft ship number, if I were to take a guess, or the registration. You got the L1 boarding door and its Southwest Hard logo right there. You also got your bottom antenna right there. There's your Triple Crown 1 tiles right there. And then you also got the badge itself, which has a very nice distinctive look. So as you can see, you got like the original colors of the Southwest Airlines livery when it was first introduced during the 70s. And then you got the heart, like the metallic heart, almost like not really a metallic heart, but you got the heart with the number 1 displayed on this ribbon thing. And I do want to give you guys some information about the meaning of Triple Crown 1. So as I pull up on Google, Triple Crown 1 refers to the achievement in sports where, and not really, just kidding, not that one. I'm talking about for Southwest Airlines. So sorry if I read the wrong one, but to tell you guys on what this means for Southwest Airlines for Triple Crown 1, and yeah, just let me pull it up. Okay, so here we go. So Triple Crown 1 refers to the dedication to the airline's employees who achieve a Triple Crown by consistently ranking number 1 in on-time performance, baggage handling, and customer satisfaction over a period of time. Essentially, significantly exceptional operational excellence across multiple key metrics. And they've been doing this for 5 years in a row, from 1992 to 1996. As you can see, if you guys saw the Triple Crown 1 on the box, you can see there was 1992, 1993, 1994, 1995, and 1996. So that's how Southwest is successful. Excuse me, my God, that was like literally a tongue twister right there. But yeah, that shows how Southwest Airlines is considered to be one of the most best airlines in the US, and they earned this award just by doing that. Well, they painted this plane just by achieving that. They first had it on a 737-300, then it got transferred to a 700, and now it's on the 800 right there. The 700, which I would sometimes see during my spotting sessions, that aircraft was registered November 407 Whiskey November, and that aircraft has since then been repainted into the Heart livery. So the 800 now has that livery now. Anyways, let's move on to the mill section of the plane. So here's the mill. You got your CFM56 6-7B engines right there. There's your emergency exits right there as well. And then you got your top antenna, this top antenna, which apparently has a small paint chip, which I can't really complain too much. I mean, like, it's not really too noticeable from a far distance. Either way, I don't really care too much. There's your main landing gear as well, and then your split scimitar winglet, which I think NG Models did a good job on the split scimitar winglet. They could at least improve the bottom one though, from what I heard from other reviews. But still, I think NG Models did a good job on the wings right there. Well, the scimitar winglets. Plus, we also got the wing views right here. So here are your wing details right there. You got your spoilers, ailerons, flag check canoes, flaps and slats, and all your various printed details. So great work, NG, on those. Moving on to the back area of the plane. There's your bottom antennas, your bottom dual antennas right there, which is one of the good characteristics for NGs. And then you got the Wi-Fi dome, which I'm not sure if this aircraft has like the wide boundaries that surround the Wi-Fi dome, but if it does, I think that's one thing that NG Models can improve on is the printing. There should be like white boundaries, like white lines that surround the Wi-Fi dome. But yeah, I mean, it's how it is. Then you got your back antenna right there. And then you got the aircraft registration, November 8681 Mike. And then you also got the aircraft ship number right there. And then moving on to the back area of the plane, close to the empennage, you got your L2 door. You got your US flag on the aircraft's dorsal fin. Excuse me. And then moving on to the tip of the plane, you got your nose cone or the APU area of the 737 NGs, which looks like that. And then you also got your tail skid right there. And then you also got your horizontal stabilizers. And then you got the distinctive Southwest Airlines tail whenever they paint their planes into their special liveries right here. So you got the Southwest tails, and then you got the colors of the tail right there. It kind of nearly blends with the blue, but they made sure that the blue doesn't match with the blue that's on the tail. Moving on to the front section of the plane. So here's the front section of the aircraft. Looking very nice. The cockpit windows, from what I'm seeing, are printed alignedly. And then you got some CFM fan blade details. I know you cannot really see it that well, but they're there, which I think NG Models did a good job on doing that. And then moving on to the starboard section of the aircraft, you got your R1 and R2 doors. You got your forward cargo bin, which is somewhere right there. And then, if I can try to find the aft cargo bin, there it is. The aft cargo bin is somewhere right there. Now, as I give you guys some different perspectives of the aircraft, so let me just position her like so. Here's the top view of the aircraft right there. I mean, like, you can see a bit of details. I mean, I can still see the beacon light from my eye. I'm not sure if you can see it on camera, but it's there. But you can see some extra details on the top. Moving on to the bottom, of course, no stand hole, which is kind of like typical for NG Models to have, except for their Max 10s. But what I do like is the molded in air intakes, which is a huge plus for NG Models, and I also like on how they mold in the hole parts with the main landing gear as well. So that's one of the plus points for NG Models right there. Moving on to also you can see the 800 tiles right there, close to the nose wheel on the carriage. Moving on to the front section of the plane, once more. Here's the front view of the plane. Of course, you got some great ground flex configurations. And then moving on to the back, here is the back side of the aircraft. So overall, really love this special livery. I mean, it's a good livery. I mean, like, they could have added a bit more creativity to this livery, but overall, I still think this looks nice. And overall, this is a really cool Southwest model to add to my collection. Of course, I got a couple of 800s, I got a couple of hearts, state liveries, and a couple of specials. But still, it's nice to add another Southwest Airlines special livery to my collection because Southwest Airlines alongside Alaska Airlines are good with their special liveries right here. So, great work NG Models and Southwest Airlines on this livery, and I'm really glad to have it in my collection. What a mass unboxing. Yeah, what a mass unboxing. I was gonna say something else, but we're at the end now. So before I get into the conclusion, I want to show you guys all my models I got from DJ Pilot, and then we're gonna proceed to all the models I unboxed in this video. So without being said, let's line up all my models from DJ Pilot, and we're gonna proceed to the next clip. And here are all the models I got from DJ Pilot. What a nice haul right here. 3 special liveries and 1 international airline. Now that's really cool right there. So overall, I'm glad to really have these models in the first place, and hopefully I can use them in future airport updates and do like I do. Like for instance, if I were to make a random mall airport, which hopefully that's in the plans, but not really at this time. But still, these models are absolutely good for my collection, and overall, I'm really glad to have them. So thank you so much, DG Pilot. So that is it for mass unboxing number 15. All I just gotta do is set up all my models I got from this unboxing, or just unbox in general, and then we're gonna conclude this video from here. So without being said, let's move into the conclusion. And here are all the models that I unboxed in mass unboxing number 15. I make sure to count them all up, and the total models comes to 11. Once again, these are all Black Friday models, and I got some amazing models right here with some very good deals from all these retail stores. So yeah, another mass unboxing down, but I just want to take a look at these. So we're gonna get into the overall assessment on all these models right here. So I'll start with every single model one by one. So we first start here with this United Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 10. Really cool model from NG Models, and it's really nice to have a MAX 10 in my collection. Not sure when will these planes will start service to commercial operators, but hopefully in the near future. Next up, we have the American Airlines Airbus A321 in the America West Retro Heritage livery. Really cool model, really nice to add another American Airlines Retro Heritage plane to my collection, and overall this one also looks nice. Next up, we have the Southwest Airlines Boeing 737-800 in the Triple Crown 1 livery. A stellar model from NG Models right there. The color looks absolutely fantastic, and overall they did a good job on this model as well. Next up, we have the beautiful United Airlines 757-200 in the Saul Bass livery. Another amazing retro model to add to my collection for United Airlines, and even though that horizontal stabilizer didn't really came intact, I was glad to fix it anyway, and overall she looks really beautiful. Next up, we have the Alaska Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 8 in the Honoring Those Who Serve livery. Really nice to have my first Alaska MAX 8 in my Alaska Airlines collection, and why not start this off with this beautiful special livery right here. Next up, we have the Delta Airlines McDonnell Douglas MD-90 in the Colors of Motion livery. Another cool retro model to add to my collection. I think at this point I have more Colors of Motion planes than widget planes, even though the widget is my favorite Delta retro livery, but I'm just surprised that I have more Colors of Motion planes than the retro widget liveries. So surprising right there, but still really nice to add my first MD-90 in my collection. Next up, we have the JetBlue Airbus A321, JetBlue Airbus A321 in the Balloons livery, the new Balloons livery in this case. A nice model right here. I was really on defense of this model if I want to get this or not, but it's a JetBlue model. Who knows when the next one will be? So I decided to partake in this model anyway. And as we move on to the wide bodies, we first have the United Airlines 787-10 Dreamliner in the Continental Globe livery. Really been wanting to have a Continental Globe model in my collection, and I'm really glad to have it. And overall, this model from AV400 looks very nice. Next up, we have the British Airways Boeing 777-300ER, another nice model to add to my British Airways collection. Really nice to get the 333 in, and hopefully soon I can get more British Airways planes like the Airbus AC-80 or some other plane in the British Airways fleet. An airline that I've been wanting for quite a long time, we have the Emirates Boeing 777-300ER in their revised livery. Really nice to finally have Emirates in my collection, and overall, GeminiJets did a stunning job on this model. Both the British and the Emirates are GeminiJets models using the JC777 mold, and honestly, it just looks fantastic. They did a phenomenal job on this. And last but not least, we have the Delta Airlines Boeing 767-400ER in the Sky Team livery. Really cool to also have this model as well. First Panda models to never come broken, and overall, the quality of Panda models has changed drastically. And I'm really glad to have another 764 in my collection. So I have the NG, Gemini, and the Panda 767 mold for this particular plane, like the 767-400ER. So overall, great work Panda models on this, and I'm really glad to also have that for my Delta Airlines collection. So yeah, that's it for mass unboxing number 15. It was a lot of models. Once again, the total comes to 11 models. And yeah, once again, this is Black Friday haul number 1, or just part 1 of this Black Friday haul. A part 2 will be coming soon, which will be on mass unboxing number 16. It will be the same concept, but I'll also add in a few little extras. But overall, great to have these models, and hopefully I can try to use these models in a future airport updates. So yeah, I'm not sure when mass unboxing 16 will be coming out, but it should be coming out in the foreseeable future. But still, we have all these models right here from mass unboxing number 15, and I'm really glad to add these to my collection, and hopefully I can feature these models in a future airport update. So really nice haul right here, and I'm really glad to have these models once again. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and turn on that post notification bell so you won't miss a video like this anytime soon. And if you want to see more of my model playing content and mass unboxing videos, then you can click on those playlists, and you can see all my mass unboxings and my model playing content on my YouTube channel. So that's it for today's video. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Anyways, good night.